Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 139.
139. We are consistent, let me tell you. Week after week.
Every week.
We don't skip a beat unless I go somewhere.
Yeah, until you go on vacation. I think we missed one, cousin me.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I went on vacation.
Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, because your mom passed. I think that was.
Yeah, that one. So maybe two. Yeah. So we had that one, and then we had, I did go on vacation to Cali.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So too.
There it is.
But yeah, man, pretty darn consistent. We make up for it, though. We do the bonus episodes, you know.
Yeah.
Like specials. And...
Well, I think that's the first bonus we ever did, but yeah.
Come on, man.
Totally.
I'm trying to hype us. You are killing me right now, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess, some things were kind of cool this week that happened.
Dude. Couldn't believe it. I woke up first thing in the morning and everyone's like pinging me and, well, let's just pull it up, right?
Let's just do it.
Bam. Do you guys see this?
On the launcher.
And tweeted by Diablo Twitter's official Twitter page. We are the face of podcasts.
Yep.
Or Blizzard.
Confirmed. They even said on there our favorite podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, it was. They wrote it. Favorite podcast.
And this is the only podcast they've ever featured. So
the first, the only,
it's crazy.
The last. Yeah. So no, it is cool though to get a shot. I didn't know it was going down. I just woke up and saw it on Twitter, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So pretty awesome.
Yeah, man. This first time since October of 2017 that Blizzard's like shout us out. So it's cool to be back on the face of the as the face of the launcher. So
face of the launcher, face of the Twitters.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks. I don't, I'm sure the Blizz team watches the podcast, of course. So thanks, Blizz team.
What other podcast would you watch, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty sweet. But let's just jump into the stuff, right? Well, first up.
Oh my God. Listen, if you can't see, if you're listening to the audio version, this week's episode is worthy of the video feed. Because right now on screen, I guess Maester decided to use a face app and morph Fluff's picture and my picture together.
To have a kid. So the new meta kid, that's what he looks like. Mm-hmm. I say he loosely.
Yeah. He,
I don't want to assume gender of our child, but
yeah,
he's very pretty if it's he.
Yeah, he's a pretty kid. It's funny because it does really, really resemble a celebrity. But
Beebs.
Yeah, it looks like we made the Beebs. But if you look at the features, it is actually our features, man. Mm-hmm. Those are my eyes and my nose at Fluff's angle, it looks like, and my hair volume with Fluff style. And
no, it's definitely my hair. He doesn't have cornrows or
I said volume. I said volume of hair. Volume of hair. So it's a pretty interesting picture. It's funny though. So
yeah. Well done, Maester. And then dude, this is nutty.
That is super nutty, dude.
I was making emotes and I downloaded an app to age myself, and it creeps me out because it's so good.
Yeah, this looks legit. This 100% is you in 25 years.
It freaks me out. What is this technology? Is this actually going into the future?
I don't know.
I don't look happy that I'm streaming at age 75. No, he's like, God damn, I didn't get clicked. Social Security's gone. Here we are streaming.
So serious, dude. You're like, I'm gonna get you. You fucking young bucks. I got you. Yeah, man. The deepfake stuff's gonna get crazy, man. I assume at some point it will be a thing where actors won't be a thing. It'll just be appearances. They'll be like, oh, that's my favorite avatar.
Right.
We've
cast Sean Connery to play this role. He's been dead for 50 years.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
Could totally be a thing.
I know. So pretty cool.
But last week's
were you scared? Oh, were you scared when you so do you remember when TikTok came out and there was like, oh, all your data is being sent to China and this and that? And there was another face morpher app that people were like, oh man, they're taking all your info. When you download like all these things and they're like asking for permission to your camera roll and all that, do you really care? Or are you just like, whatever?
I mean, I don't do really much of anything on my phone, but honestly, like BlizzCon was like more intrusive than some of these apps are. And
yeah, the BlizzCon one was pretty nutty, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then to play the Immortal alpha, it seemed like we had to give a lot of right access to Diablo Immortal.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Yeah, it was. It's just weird because there's times where it's like, oh man, that face app looks really cool. But they're asking for a lot of juice that I'm like, I don't really care that much. I'll skip it,
Yeah.
So, but I'm like you. I don't have much on my phone. They could, I guess, steal my contacts list and then ping all my friends. I'd probably piss everybody off.
I'm the kind of guy, I don't know about you. I just I leave my phone at home or I just leave it in another room all the time. Like I don't even think about it.
I'm the exact same. Yeah. So like it's funny because being the technology geek, you would think that would be me in the relationship. My wife always has her phone on her 24/7. Like it never leaves her side. And me, like I check it a couple times a day, maybe if that. And like I also see people turn their phone upside down all the time to like hide the screen. And I'm always like, what do you? Yeah, like why? Like
I've done that a couple times. I'm not even thinking about it. And then what are you trying to?
You're gonna scratch the screen. Back in the day, they're a lot more scratch proof now than they used to be. But I was like, why are you doing that? Like flip your phone. Like, what do you have you getting nudie text on there that you're like worried that your boss is gonna see or something? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, so last week's poll, right? So this is the first ever poll post, our Twitter migration, right? Again, guys, we're trying to farm the Twitter because as two dudes to play a Diablo game that, doesn't have a ton of people in the current year, it's really hard to farm. So we're trying to force people to follow us, guys. Come on, just create Twitter accounts and follow us. But yeah, so last week's question was a really interesting discussion because we saw this like screenshot that someone had like fished out of all the Diablo updates at BlizzCon this year, and we know that the max level is 40, and we do know that would be 200 main stat basically that you can allocate however you want in that Diablo 2 Wolcen style. But then on the item that was like not leaked but posted, you got like 140 dexterity and like 70 all stat, and then like 40 was like, it was crazy, like way more than you would get through level allocation. So the question was, if one item can give you 140 dex and you only get 200 through per level stat allocation, should D4 even have stat allocation? And maybe that's a broad question, and some people actually kind of complained about the question, like, because it seems like I'm throwing shade at the Diablo 2 style. So maybe I kind of rigged this in my own favor, but it's
hard to keep your own bias out.
Yeah.
Like, we try to keep bias out,
right.
But,
Yeah, and again, I'm of the opinion we should definitely have like the POE style where like all stats is kind of decided through gear. I don't really think that the stat allocation per level makes sense to like basically anyone, unless they've been playing RPGs for a really long time, because you just kind of like you level up and you're like, well, I think strength's good, because I like I'm a melee guy, it gives me more damage, right? So I guess I'll just allocate some. Like you don't really have,
unless you have the code and a break, because every game's different too.
Yeah,
right. It's like your basics tell you int is good for a caster and strength for a melee, right?
Right. And Diablo 2, that can be like that can break your character basically. I mean, you do get free rerolls, but like DatMods has a clip this week where he used his reroll in Diablo 2 to reroll his stats, and then he like accidentally held control click and like allocated all his points in the strength after his reroll. So like he completely bricked the character.
Bricked it. Yeah.
You can't just do it again.
Is there a fixing that? I haven't played D2 in 20 years. So I don't
every
know.
difficulty you can reset. I don't remember though.
That's funny. Yeah, so it's I don't know. Not without. If you're gonna learn, it's weird because if you're gonna need to learn the mechanics of the game, then you need to be able to fix it. So there needs to be a way to reallocate that. But at the same time, you want the choice to matter. My vote on this was POE style, personally.
Yeah.
Could I be biased? Maybe. I've more recently played PoE than Diablo 2, obviously, and I do agree that as I play a new game, a lot of times I'm like, well, we have these stats, and they don't even have to be strength, int, dex, stamina, whatever. But a lot of games do that kind of system, and you're like, I don't clearly understand what these do. You tell me that strength makes me hit harder, but like I want to know exactly the code. Like it makes you increase attack power by X percentage, so I can determine what I need.
And then is that even worth it at the end of the day? Yeah,
right.
Totally.
It's like, well, I'm going to do all this damage. Is it going to boost enough, or should I put that into stamina because I'd rather have a little bit of HP? It just depends. But so I would vote the PoE style personally. I think PoE's skill system is skill tree system, and that's getting stats from that is pretty awesome, actually.
Agreed. Actually, I'm going to post this in chat real quick so people would vote one last time. But yeah, I think I'm with you, right? Like obviously, I'm in favor of the Diablo or the PoE style system where, I mean, it is hard to swap gear and there's the stat allocation locked on gear, so you can't just like go full plate armor as like a mage that is highly invested in intelligence and stuff like that. I think that makes a ton of sense. So yeah, I don't love the Diablo 2 style statting because it's like, well, I only need just enough strength to wear every piece of gear, and then everything else goes in vitality, basically. Depending, I think most builds play like that, but I think it's pretty worthless in the long run.
What if they lock gear based on class type, similar to WoW? How do you feel about something like that, where your mages and priests get cloth, and then your rogues and whatever druids get leather? Like how they lock it down, plate only for warriors, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely encourage, like PoE encourages, like you start a ranger or a shadow, and you're obviously on the invasion side of the tree, and so it's in your best interest probably to go evasion. But if you really wanted to, you could be an armor wielding, evasion character, or you could go ES. Like it's up to you, and there's uniques that will support that. So I definitely prefer that versus like you have to.
Yeah, I think the forcing characters into a specific type of armor, I think just dumbs it down. I think it's like, okay, you're too dumb to make this choice, so we're just going to tell you that you have to wear this,
right? Which would be very Blizzard.
Yeah. So, but I wouldn't be surprised if something like that shows up. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't really have a strong direction on D4 yet. I'm not really sure what they're trying to do at this point. It seems like they're trying to cater to the casuals, but they're backpedaling on that a little bit with some of these updates, But it's like, are they going to backpedal enough, or,
And that's where it gets really tough, because it seems like they're going for that legendary in every slot play style. And I think that generally speaking, in the Diablo 4 realm, that usually means like if I get a legendary that's good for an assassin, rogue, then it's just good for a rogue. Like I can't just take this really good legendary and wear it on my, druid or something. So yeah, I don't love that. I do prefer that PoE style of, having rares in every slot and really crafting good gear and speccing a tree out to really kind of min-max your character or make it feel unique, or getting special uniques and combos and stuff like that, versus like, oh, I'm putting like a bunch of legendaries in XYZ slots so that my Y skill will perform differently. I definitely don't enjoy that playstyle. So yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I think Diablo 4 shifted like 50 times just since 2019.
You're like, wait, where are we going with this?
So it's really hard to say, but yeah, it's definitely taken a shift in the better, but I think it's a very small shift in the better. In that last quarter 4 update of 2019, I think that was the best post that they did, but it was still like, well, this is cool. This is a step in the right direction, but we all want more depth and stuff. So
yeah, I hope so. I think a lot of the hardcore fans for sure obviously want the depth, but we'll have to see who they end up catering to.
Yeah.
I just don't. I feel like they're gonna get stuck in. I think, to me, it feels like the D2 crowd is very vocal.
Oh yeah,
like they're very, very vocal, and I'm afraid that there's going to be a lot of make it like D2, and they're going to be like, oh, that's what everybody wants, and then they're going to go with systems that mirror that. And then are they really the best systems? Are 20-year-old systems the best systems?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So they are vocal, but they are very split still. It seems like, to me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, if you're a Diablo 2 guy, you're not a purist. Like, it seems very like 50-50 of guys that love D2, but they just want, improvements. And there's people that are like, no, it has to be like the original or I rage.
Yeah. I seem to see a lot more of the original or I rage stuff, but I don't look as hard either. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I typically gloss over those things pretty quick. So,
it's interesting you bring that up because we're going to talk about some of that later on. There's actually quite a bit of D2 stuff in this pod.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the poll. POE style won, but it is a very close race. Surprisingly, a lot more close than I expected. So yeah, about 55% of the votes said POE and 44% said D2/Wolcen style. So people do like allocating their own stats per level.
There we go.
And then next week's poll, let me have to tweet this out, is how long should a season last in Diablo 2 Resurrected? So this is a pretty hot topic on Reddit this week. 3 months is the meta, right? So like this is what we've all been programmed to enjoy through PoE and Diablo 3. Or less than 3 months, 4 months. This was a pretty common suggestion. So like 3 times a year.
Once a quarter. Yep.
Or 6 months or more. There's some arguments that 3 months isn't long enough for D2. And we'll get into that as well. So let me spam that for you boys if you want to vote on the next week's poll. But yeah, and we'll talk about it a bit, but we'll give our opinion next week.
Sure.
And then, finally, we've got some dates.
This came fast for me.
Wow.
I wasn't.
What do you mean fast in regards of how long season 22's lasted, or?
This was quick based on the time that PTR went down.
Yeah.
Because to me, what this says is this is giving a definitive end date and launch date for the next season, which means all this stuff's got to be completed by this time. And man, I don't know about you, but the PTR left me with lots of questions.
Oh yeah.
Lots of questions and like not a lot of direction as to like where are we headed with this?
With Rathma. Yeah.
With Rathma for sure. And then even with Firebirds had a good direction, but it still seemed pretty broken. So,
I think the direction was defined with Firebird. It's just a matter of like what power level do they leave it at.
Yeah.
But I think the playstyle was locked in.
They have to figure out ways to reel in the power level without breaking all the coolness of the set too. Because if you start reeling the power level in, some of the other builds may not even work that we played. So I don't know, man. I'm nervous they're going to over nerf it at this point now, but I hope not. But Rathma's just like, what are we doing with this?
Yeah.
We don't even know.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because go ahead.
It's just like we see all this date drop and it's like, okay, but we don't know where we're going. This means we're not going to get another PTR to test changes again with Rathma. Like I don't even care if it was a 2-day, 3-day PTR. Throw it up on a Tuesday, pull it down on a Thursday or Friday, and let us just play whatever new direction you're going.
Right.
So we can find bugs and give feedback. Because I think there are things that are overlooked sometimes, like the Bone Spirit RGK from 10 miles away. Like I think some of those things were like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Let's change things.
Or literally Necro had 2 forms of vulnerability that were exposed each round of the PTR. So
yeah, like I'm Invinci Necro, like But so what if there's more of that in there that it's just like, hey, we didn't think about that. My bad. Let's fix things. So I think the PTR serves a good purpose. I think it lets us give feedback on the direction and it lets us give feedback on like game breaking mechanics. And we're not going to get to do either of those things before the season goes live, let alone we don't even know. Like people are like, yo, P, what's the best character class for season 23? Like, what's it going to be? Like, and I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what Necro's going to be yet. Is it going to be overpowered like first PTR? Is it going to be broken like second PTR? We don't know.
That's why it's funny. Like, I keep seeing like the tier videos pop out. And it's like, that's going to change in like 2 weeks. You have no idea. Yeah. yeah, so I mean, I saw this and I thought it was a bit like I appreciate the dates, but I was like, why is it so far out? Because PTR ended like last week, right? And this is all the way at the end of March, so like we're extending season 22 even more.
Well, they dropped the 2-week notice, is what it was. They always give the 2-week. They always give the 2-week notice. Like that's the thing that Novelistas started years ago, because I think they ended one pretty abruptly, and people were super upset about that.
Yeah,
and like I didn't have time to finish doing the things and all this.
Sure.
So they're like, okay, we'll always give a 2-week notice. So I don't know if that's still a standard that the new regime is going to hold.
Yeah.
But they announced it last Thursday or Friday. I don't remember exactly. What day is that? Does it say on there? I can't see it.
It's a day ago? Yeah, it's a day ago.
They just announced it Monday? No, they definitely had it before last weekend.
Did they? I don't know.
Yeah, either way. So we had 2 weeks. It gave us 2 weeks till Sunday. It was like from that following Sunday, it was 2 weeks out, which makes sense. And then I would assume that they're planning on patching on the 30th and then having the season go live on the 2nd, is my guess.
Yeah. And
potentially maybe the 9th if there's some game-breaking stuff that we find on Tuesday. But
yeah, I would like it to be the 9th because I would assume that this is going to hit launch, on that Tuesday following the 28th. Or I think it's like the 30th or something.
30th, yeah.
And I'm willing to bet, and this isn't me shit talking, but I'm willing to bet that the Rathma's still not quite right. I think we do need that third round of.
I think so too.
Of testing, because I don't know that we trust Blizzard to get it right the third time when the first and second iteration were kind of so bad. Yeah, so I obviously am super alarmed that Necro was in the state that it was in, and then PTR closed, and I just don't want it to seem like one of those other sets that like, okay, it came out and it was new and exciting, but at the same time no one plays it because it still sucks.
Yeah. That's 100% what I'm worried about. I think that releasing rushed content for D3 is bad. I think the game's not in the best spot anyways.
Yeah.
And so any content that comes out, I think the community as a whole would be way happier if we got polished content that made sense versus rushed content that was broken, because it becomes a meme at this point. It's like, oh, new Rathma set, lol. And like people look for things to pick on the game about. I don't want to fuel them, but I don't really care about those people anyways. I want something fun to play.
Yeah.
And if they've reworked Rathma, and then let's say this season lasts 4 to 5 months like they've been going, so then we have 4 to 5 months of a really bad new Necro set that we don't want to play. So we really didn't get anything.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to play it. And if Firebirds comes in too weak or too hot, then that's going to dictate everything. If Firebirds comes in too hot, everybody plays it, and there's not. If you're not running Firebirds, then okay. And if it comes in too weak, then now we'd have really nothing new except for the follower for the season.
Yep.
Which is big, but I don't know how much that carries.
Yeah, I agree. I think that if they over nerf, then like people are happy that like the play style is good, but like still no one's going to play it if it's not strong. I mean, people will probably play it because like now we have the divided seasonal leaderboards, so like people are gonna still farm that, but not on a level that, and you run zero risk of changing the meta if something's not like maybe a little strong, and that's kind of what we all really want. I think even the guys that play all season, like they just don't want to run rats anymore, and so they just want to see like, well, if something's overpowered, then there's potential for it to take over the meta.
Yeah, we talked about season 23 leveling, right? And then you mentioned to me we're talking, and Fluff's like, so rats for season 23. And I was like, LOL, yuck. But I was joking and serious, and you were also joking and serious. I think, you know what I mean? It's just like, we're probably going to end up doing rats because it's going to be good still. And it's like, I don't know, man.
But it's different because at the end of the day, it's like we run Rats day one, not because we like it, but we like that huge kickstart. Like we like to be
it's huge.
the best Paragon at the end of day one. It's kind of like the thing that, at least one of the things I really like to do is after that first stream
we
session.
We usually go really hard the first day. People come and stream the first day like, damn, you guys are rocking it. Like we're usually in the upper echelon the first day. And then after that, I'm like, okay, I'm out. So I'm not doing this for I'm not doing this for days and days.
Right.
So
and I'm saying like I can do rat runs for that first day and be like a Paragon 1000 and like that feels good and I have that kickstart to like just start whatever I want. But I definitely can't keep going after that.
Yeah. I'm usually day two I'll usually log in and you usually don't ever log out because you have no responsibilities in life. So you're just I log in and you flush like instantly rats. I'm like, yeah. And then so I'll start getting the team, and then you're already like 2 or 3 Paragon up on wherever we stopped already because you're just like you go the solo. So the first weekend is fun, man. It's fun to hit it hard, but it would be nice to have a different comp to play that's competitive or even better than Rats for the weekend. Like I think last season's season start was actually a blast because we had the pylon method that we were doing, and it's not like that was fun. It was just different,
right?
And since it was different, it made it. Like, oh, this is a new thing. But this season we're going back. We're going back to the old school, just, I guess if we have a bunch of necros and the set's not broken, then we'll do the corpse explosion, and then maybe we can do the kill streak cursed chest stuff.
Yeah. I don't think anything's gonna be better than corpse explosion.
So, corpse explosion and then the cursed chest and Act 3, whatever. Was it Act 3?
Just bounty, cursed chest,
Yeah, whatever that is. The new zone they added for Necro. So
we'll see.
I don't
know. But yeah, the first thing I thought of was like, man, that's really far out. I guess if the 2-week warning's a thing, then I mean this is still really far out. So I guess I was a little surprised how they're extending it even more. And I kind of knew that the podcast was going to get featured. I was like, oh, maybe that's going to line up with the new season because like it was mid to late March. And I kind of expected this to be over by now. So I was kind of surprised to see this being so late. And I think this does fall in line with, April 1st, which is kind of ironic, really, if you think about it. Like, I guess it's like April 2nd.
Joke.
Yeah.
Like it's April Fool's joke. I hope it, honestly, man, I really hope it hits the 9th for a lot. There's a lot of selfish reasons. I hope it hits the 9th. Like, I really wanted to play Outriders, which is coming out on
the 1st.
The 1st, and then so this would launch on the 2nd.
Right.
So like I really wanted to play Outriders. It looks like a lot of fun. But on top of that, if they drop the patch Tuesday after the season ends on the 28th, which is a Sunday, Tuesday is the 30th. If they drop the patch on Tuesday the 30th and the season drops on the 2nd, which would be 3 days later, there's not a lot of time for bug fixes there.
Right.
And if there are some major exploits or something that people find, then they are going to have to mid-season patch, and that always feels really bad if they do that.
Yeah.
If they drop it on the 9th, that gives them a week and some change to iron out bugs and stuff, and potentially reset non-season leaderboards if they needed to, and this and that. But
yeah, I agree. I think that it gives them that time to like monitor the boards and see like what's incredibly OP or what's not OP, and then week of downtime is enough for like us creators to make all our videos for the week, because you give us that 2-day span from Tuesday to like Friday to get stuff out.
Let us like look at the set,
and test it. Yeah. Because like for me, it's so hard to come out with a video after the season starts because like I'm grinding. I don't have time to take 5 hours out of my day to make a video.
I'm with you, man. It's a nutty little period of time, but those are selfish content creator reasons.
Totally.
But I do think the argument is legit for more feedback on the set direction and bugs and stuff.
Exciting. I mean, I'm willing to gamble. What do you think we should gamble? Like, do we think that the round 3 of Rathma will be good? Is that something we should even guess?
I'm scared, man. Listen, I was super nervous when the monk set came out. If like this is my go-to, this is my fallback, because the monk set on the first PTR was horrid. It was bad. It was garbage. It was super bad. But the Justice set is a really good set. there are some changes I would make that I think could fix it and make it much better. Some easy changes that I've talked about a lot, but it's a good set. I don't know though, man. This Rothma one scares me because I don't think the original direction was exactly on point to begin with. I think they, like you've been said a million times, they're trying to mix two different play styles into one set, and they need to focus on one of them and then go that way. And regardless if I like that play style or not, at least it's got a direction.
Right.
And I don't think that they ever did that in either iteration. And I would honestly argue for a PTR revamp. I think the PTR, they've done a lot with PTR. They added the dank meme vendor to buy the equipment. They've given us materials and blood shards and all that kind of stuff, which has been awesome for testing. But I think they need to shorten the PTR down from 2 weeks to 1 week. They should drop it on whatever. They should do a week and then take another week of downtime to make iterations and changes, and then throw up a second PTR that's for a week, and then take that down and make iterations and changes, and then do a third one if you need to. If you need a third PTR, then do it. I think a 2-week PTR with like a patch the week after doesn't give them enough time to collectively analyze feedback from lots of sources and see and get direction and bugs. And I think they would get a better end of product if they had PTR for a week, downtime for a week, put patches in, gather notes, kick it back out to us, let us try it again.
It's kind of a gamble too, because like, was 2 weeks enough for Firebird? Yeah, because the original iteration wasn't near as bad as Rathma. Rathma needs a third iteration. And so did, Poj, really. Poj is like maybe not a good example of something being boring, right? Because like Poj ended up being a pretty good set and people really like it. But I think that like the Frenzy Barb and Hydra Wiz, like both of those sets work. It's just like they're just underwhelming. They're so underwhelming.
Yeah, Hydra Wiz was probably one I was super excited about when I heard that it was going to be a Hydra set. I was like, oh, this is going to be sick. This is going to be fun. Like, I like Hydra. And then I didn't like that playstyle at all. I was just like, this. I never played it. I played it in PTR, and like, that's enough. That's all I ever want to play, because it wasn't something that I was into. Now, there's probably people out there that like it, that love it. Like, oh, it's my favorite set. That's cool. Everybody can have their thing. Like, I don't like any Witch Doctor sets except Mononugo. So everybody's got their niche that they like. But I'm with you, man. I don't think Frenzy Bar really appealed to me that much either. Hydra didn't appeal to me that much. But this new Wizard set is fun, man. The Firebird's revamp it's a fun playstyle. So hopefully it makes it through the cut. But Rothma, I don't know. Rothma was so spammy in the original iteration.
Oh yeah,
so spammy. And if, let's just say that they took that and they were going to try to fix it, okay?
Yeah.
You got to get rid of the immunity shield, which they've done. They added a 60-second internal cooldown on it, which
they didn't tell us, which is cool.
Which is silly to me that they did that. Because like the thing that frustrates me with that is now you've broken other things in the game because of that, though. And like, now you've messed up Z-Necros that use Rothma Shield. You've messed up even Singularity Mages that use Rothma Shield because of another set. Like, those sets are independent. And I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't have it. Like, that's a whole other debate. But there's casualties when you change skills for a specific set. There's casualties that you may not always see that come to play.
Yeah.
And I think this was one of them.
Yeah. So. And again, I think that, to touch on your point of like, okay, you get better feedback, right? As if we have that break or whatever. The turtle cooldown was one of the suggestions that I made, but I think the better one would have been to just remove Army of the Dead from Rathma Shield and then leave it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like,
and then
you Dead's fine, right?
Yeah, then Land of the Dead doesn't proc it, and then you didn't break anything else that relies on it, Yeah. So, I don't know. And like I said, man, is losing Rothma Shield a big deal? Not really. No. I mean, did I use it on my Z-Necro build? Yeah, because it makes it easier. Like, you can just ignore mechanics. So did I like it? Sure. Rothma Shield in general was kind of a broken skill. But having it with a 60-second cooldown, who would take that? Like, you just made that an unusable talent forever for everybody, because you're going to get a 4-second shield every 60 seconds as a passive slot. You're never going to use that over other options.
Right.
I can't see any scenario. So basically you just deleted it from the game, and that feels even worse. So it's just like, okay, so now maybe next PTR or next patch, we just rework Rathma Shield from the ground up, and make it not because you just made it an unusable skill,
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, it's not unusable. Yeah, it's just not good.
like, why would you take it? I can't think of a scenario where you need a 4-second shield every 60 seconds. Like, that's never going to be better than
yeah, I
something
mean, it
else.
does kind of seem like a dice roll. It's like, well, obviously you could plan Rathma Shield before and be like, okay, I'm going to hit my cooldown right now because I'm about to die. So now it becomes like God, I hope that internal cooldown's off. I'm going to hit my land dead. Oh shit, it was off cooldown. Or, oh crap, no, I'm dead.
Yeah,
I agree. So, it makes it weird. It makes the playstyle a bit weird, but
so anyways. Yeah, but I'm with you though. Let's see where they go. But is it a gamble if it's going to be good? Yeah, man. I think if I were betting money, I would think that I'm going to bet that it's probably not going to be something that's super pog.
I mean, we've been hurt before, right? We're not toxic, but we know how this goes. We've been doing this for a really long time.
A really long time.
So
I've seen many patches. Yeah. Many a PPR has played, man. So
yeah. And then this kind of we just heard about really before the podcast started.
Yeah, man.
Apparently, Activision Blizzard has reportedly laid off nearly 190 employees.
Yeah, man. So I saw this on IGN. I think this is pretty fresh news. I don't think this has made the rounds yet. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about this.
Yeah, it says posted today, just like 4 hours ago.
Yeah, so this is pretty new. They had the big. What was the last one they did? It was like
800.
800.
Yeah,
it was a lot of people, but this is a lot, and this is coming from IGN. IGN's a pretty, it's a pretty reputable source. I would say this isn't just some clickbait.
Reputable source for gaming news, reputable source for game reviews. I would say no.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. Everybody's game reviews are different. Sure. It's just like you hated Final Fantasy VII and I liked it, man. So, it just depends. You have
we have smart people and stupid people. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. I understand what the stupid people thought it was a bad game. I get it. Yeah, but this is what's I skimmed the article and it's it seems like they're estimating the 190 people because it's saying that they're going to lay off like 2% of the employees company's employees, which is roughly 190 people. And other reports that I had seen today said that 50 of those people were going to get laid off from the esports section, which would be Overwatch League and the Call of Duty League, which Overwatch League has been a really big thing. You and I actually went to one of the BlizzCon events in 2019. It was pretty cool to go to the event live. I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Outside of that, though, like I like Overwatch. I play Overwatch. I didn't really have zero interest in the Overwatch League. I don't know if you. Yeah, I could care less, but people like it, I guess. But not enough to keep it afloat right now. So I'm assuming that the esports league would probably be the Overwatch League is probably in jeopardy of.
Yeah, I think that Overwatch. Again, being at the thing, I think because the venue was so good and like the setup was good. I still think like Overwatch as like an esport, like it's difficult to watch. It's difficult to follow because there's like so much happening with like your team and your comp, and it's just not like a simple like BRs to this day are still probably one of the best formulas ever just to sheerly watch because at the end of the day, that guy he's trying to shoot things and survive and not die. And then when he does that,
game over.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And so like you have to have like prior knowledge of Overwatch to understand like the Overwatch gameplay.
You have to
and
understand
so it kind of sucks.
The characters, what abilities they have, who's used what's left. So there's a lot going on. It's just like World of Warcraft Arena, the arena tournament they do at BlizzCon as well. If you're an arena player or a WoW player, and you realize, they just got ice block from that mage. That what that means. That means like he's in trouble of getting killed, right?
Yep.
So, but as a casual guy, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You're just like, they're just shooting each other with missiles. Like that's cool.
And I always felt that the BRs, like the Fortnite, like I don't know what the hell's going on in Fortnite, but it's still easy to tune into like a Fortnite tournament because like you just watch one guy. Like, this guy's getting close to this guy. And so, like, they'll tune into those guys and they'll be duking it out. And it's, like, easy to watch. Whereas, like, a Halo tournament, I completely understand, obviously. But watching it, you've got, like, you're constantly switching between, like, the 4 players on the team. And then you, like, switch to one guy and he's immediately dead. And it's, like, You don't really have a great, even with like the team view that they've added into a lot of these shooters, where it's like you can kind of see like where the bad guy is because they have like this overlay, right? Like I don't know if you
they have like some third party tools to like give them like
and it
more
shows
of
you
a
like the
commentary.
direction, like the top view of the map, and like that's cool stuff, but it's still like not that great to watch versus like a straight up VR. And Overwatch is like just you multiply that.
I play Fortnite with my kids a little bit. Like if you added my Fortnite hours up, you probably have more than me because when it first came out, you actually played it a little bit. And I just played with my kids casually when they like convinced me and talked me into it. I can still watch like if I go watch like one of the top Fortnite guys, I can be entertained by the stream. I don't play the game, but I still understand like, oh, this guy is duking it out and it's interesting to watch. Like, is he going to get him? Is he going to get him? And then, oh, they got him, or yeah, he did.
Right.
So it's pretty cool. It's the same though. Apex is the same. You can go watch somebody in Apex and then instantly, once they start fighting, it's like, oh man, he just got lasered, or that was some sick skill. So, but I don't know, man. Overwatch, Call of Duty, I haven't played in ever. Like I can't even remember the last Call of Duty game I played. So maybe that's got a better format than the other ones, but it sucks, man. 190 people is a lot. Blizzard's got hit really hard last time. And then it looks like they're getting hit again. So
yeah, this is interesting to me because like COD had like a surge a bit this year because like some big names in Call of Duty were like, dude, we need to like get our shit together as a organization. Because like one of the things that Super Smash Brothers has done is like everyone's pretty positive towards like the competitive. Like everyone goes out of their way to like contribute and watch and like donate really to like get Smash Brothers like up and running and competitive stuff up and running. Whereas like Call of Duty, people just like kind of shit on it and they don't even watch. And like a lot of the big COD people are like being like, guys, like if you want good stuff, you want good content, like you have to watch and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm not surprised by the Blizzard like being like, okay, we're giving up on that. But I guess I would be surprised if Activision gave up on COD.
And one of the funny things in this article is, I don't know how accurate this is, but it says, U.S. workers laid off will receive a minimum of 90 days of severance and health benefits for up to a year. So that's cool. So,
it's a good severance package
for years is crazy. Like that's awesome.
90 days of severance is also pretty damn good.
Yeah. And then according to Bloomberg, each employee laid off was giving a $200 in gift cards to battle.net. They gave him $200 battle.net currency.
What the hell?
As they laid him off. Oh my God, man. That is savage, man. I don't even know how else to describe that, but savage. Like, hey, we got to let you go, but you can keep buying some of our games. Here you go, bud.
Right.
Like,
yeah, we're firing you, but hope you still like our games.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy to me. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see some some Blizzard Battle.net cards on eBay for cheap soon. Like just give them the $200, dude.
It's like that classic PR Blizzard move. That's just wow. That's so out of touch.
Yeah, it's like who thought that was a good idea? Yeah. Like you probably did more damage than good by giving that out. I'm sure there's the one guy who was like been there for a couple of weeks and it's like, oh man, damn, I just got this job, but well, at least I got $200.
Right.
I don't know. It's I would like if my manager said, hey, I gotta let you go. Here's a $200 gift card. I'd probably be like, just throw it.
Right.
Like, seriously, dude.
Yeah. Here's the $200 gift card to Microsoft services or something like that. You're like, yeah, cool.
Like, hey, you want to make this an Amazon card or something? Like. Do some good.
Yeah,
that sucks, man. I'm joking around with it, but it's not funny for the people that got laid off. Oh man, I feel bad for them. Hopefully it it doesn't hit our Diablo team.
Sure,
that would suck. I like the new crew that we got. So
totally.
I hope the D4 devs and Diablo 2 resurrected teams and D3 teams and everybody's cool at the Diablo front.
Yeah,
so
agreed. Even Vicarious,
Yeah, like Vicarious is killing it, man. I hope they just acquired. Dude, that would suck. They just acquired him. Like, okay, now we gotta let you guys go.
Yeah, but yeah, that's interesting news. Just happened. And now, we're gonna dig into some Diablo 2. So a lot of things happening. So one of the things I found fascinating is apparently there's an official Diablo 2 Resurrected survey that's happening right now. So I'm like officially from Blizzard. They're doing some surveys about D2, and this guy posted one image, and in the image it says, you mentioned that you played the original Diablo 2. Which elements of Diablo 2 would Diablo 2 Resurrected need to have for you to play it? Just kind of hope there's not a character limit, like. And only certain people are getting this. So I didn't get this personally. Sag.
Where did that come in? That was a screenshot off a cell phone. Where did that come through? Was it an email? Did they say?
I don't know.
It looks like a website link, maybe.
Yeah.
I wonder how that came through to them. If it was like an email or maybe it was on a Battle.net app. I wonder what triggered it to get it, because it would definitely be interesting to have that survey, to have that questionnaire.
Agreed.
So if you got that by chance, then send us some tweets or some Discord DMs or something with those pictures. I'd be interested to see what they ask you.
I meant to pull up. We had the results from last week. Yeah, here we go. Yes. So we took a poll last week together, right?
Yeah.
And the results are in. I should dive through this a bit more. Should stash space? Oh my God! Should stash space be increased? And the majority voted yes. 53% said multiple 10x10 square tabs. Should there
I wonder what we picked.
We picked that. I remember.
Okay.
Should there be separate inventory for charms? And 58% of the vote said yes. That's what we voted.
Yep.
Should inventory space be increased? Yes, but only in combination with charms. Has won the total. That's what we voted. Should runes and gems be stackable? Yes, it's 78% of the vote. 78% of the vote on that one. So
right.
Should quivers have unlimited ammo? 50% says yes.
That's still better than I expected.
Yeah. Should there be minor spell balancing to make useless bad spells more viable? 70% of the vote said yes.
Wow.
70%.
Those purists are freaking out right now.
Yeah. Should there be some minor mercenary balance changes to make useless bad mercenaries more viable? 72% says yes. We said yes on that, but we didn't really care.
Yeah.
Should there be some minor item and rune wording balance to make useless bad items and rune wordings more viable? 64% says yes. Of course, we said yes. Should 6 months ladder season cycle be changed? We said yes, and it's pretty split. It's like a three-way split. So I wouldn't really care what they decided on. Should non-ladder rune words drop restrictions be removed? We said yes, and 54% of the vote said yes. Should the /player X command to increase XP and drops be available on Battle.net? We said absolutely no.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
It's pretty split between yes and no. 44% says yes, though. So the majority still says yes. Yeah,
44% of you people are wrong.
/increase XP and drops. Yeah, let's just do that in every game, team. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Right.
Should there be an optional modernized spell hotkey system? 62% says yes.
Yeah. Who said no on that?
Yeah, 26% says no. Like, why?
Why? I don't understand.
Does it change the game?
You have a trackball? Like, what's the problem, man?
I really don't get it.
Like, listen, Logitech makes more than trackballs now. It's okay.
Or it's just the guy that death threatened me VPNing no 100,000 times.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah. Like, is there a game, if even if you don't make use of a new hotkey system, does it ruin the game for you that it's in? Like, that just blows my mind.
Yeah, couldn't you just put like an elective mode button? Like you click it like the single click spell activation or something.
And this makes even less sense to me because like these guys aren't even pissed that there's going to be controller support, which is like a million times worse than a modernized spell hotkey system, right?
Yeah, right.
Like that's the biggest opposite thing.
It's going to support controller on PC too.
Yeah.
Like it's on PC already. Like it's coming to your platform, you elitist.
Yeah,
you know?
Weird.
I'm with you, man.
Should there be an in-game runeword heraldic cube encyclopedia? 71% says yes. We said yes, but it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Should be an optional loot filter to make certain items drop easier, more visible.
Yep.
70% says yes. Overwhelming on that one. Should there be a kill tracker? 52% says yes. We said we didn't care. Yeah. Should there be an option to toggle loot on the ground? 76% says yes. Should there be an option to have additional tooltips that show min-max rolls on stats? 77% says yes. Obvious. And I didn't, honestly, until I read this question the other week, I didn't know that wasn't already a thing to know the max roll.
I would assume it was already there too, but
I forgot. Should they add more in game at some point? 69% says yes. Who wouldn't want more things, right? Should they add at some point new rumored Project Cube recipes? 58% says yes. Should there be an optional personal loot option in multiplayer, like you can't steal from other players? And this one is super split. The majority says no.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I can click fast. I'll steal people's loot if that's what they want.
What a great experience. Like, I was grouping with P today. Like, you're fast on the click.
Fluff's on fiber though, so maybe he's gonna have that 8 MSP. Might be the difference between him getting the loot and me not getting it.
How to get the best loot in D2 remastered? Just get fiber.
To me, like, yes, that should be a thing. Like, you should be able to have your own loot.
It's super split. I think that's the most split one. Should there be an additional easier way to respect? It's really split. 44% to 43%. Yes, no. We said actually no on this. That's one thing that I think both of us kind of want to stay true to the original. Should you be able to cow level after killing a cow king? 82% says yes. That's, I think, the biggest.
That's a pretty big landslide, yeah.
I said I didn't care, but it does feel weird farming cows in a dark and gritty game. Should the non-level portal say open after completing the quest? People said yes. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Yeah, but I think that's overwhelming. We're not overwhelming.
Everybody lined up with us.
Yeah,
which is the way it should be. Yeah, on every choice.
We got a lot of big brains.
How many votes did that have? Did it say?
4,352 people participated.
A lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people, man. It's a pretty big sample.
99% of participants played Diablo 2 LOD. 99%.
Crazy.
That's not just like D3 fanboys jumping in before Reddit implodes on itself.
Well, I mean, they count me as playing it too, but it was
true. But I mean, it doesn't make your opinion valid,
right?
So. And then to kind of touch on the other thing that we touched on with the survey, there's some people arguing that 3-month seasons are not long enough because of how, it can be really tough to get item drops in Diablo 2. So people are asking for 4 months or something longer than 3 because 3 is obviously the meta between POE and D3, and people are saying that's not long enough. And I'm curious, before we touch on the next topic, what you think about this, because I have an opinion.
Man,
did you just yawn, by the way?
I did, man. Listen.
What the hell? Wake up!
I'm telling you, I have been struggle busting lately. My sleep schedule is screwed up. But I think it's hard. It's hard for me because part of me feels like, as content creator hat, there's never enough content, and season resets are content. It's like a way to get freshness and excitement into the game. As a casual player perspective, I could see 3 months not being a long time if you only get to play 5 hours a week, right?
Right.
To people that play 40 to 80 hours a week, that's 3 months is an eternity, so they would probably want shorter. I think 3 months is a pretty sweet spot. Personally, I think it's the cycle that we're used to in most of our games. I mean, Diablo historically has tried to do 3 months. POE tries to do 3 months. The season battle passes for every game, like, Apex, Fortnite, Division, like all these games, it's always 3-ish months is roughly what they go for. And I think that gives you 1 a quarter, right? So that's usually a pretty good cycle. It lets you hit the holidays if they're going to do holiday events and things like that. So I think it's a good cycle. I would love to see them stagger these. I don't want D3 and D2 and POE cycles to all hit at the exact same week.
Totally.
I think that's more important to me than how long a season is. Like, can you guys just stagger it so you don't drop it the same week as something else? Yeah, I think three would be my vote if I had to cast a vote.
Yeah.
I would say max no longer than 4 if 4 won out. But
yeah, I have an opinion on this. It kind of goes on to the next topic, but on the surface, I think a lot of this is contingent upon like, well, what happens? So the season ends and then the new season comes out, and if it's straight up just a reset, I couldn't care less when they do the reset.
right,
That's just like you're playing for a top position on the ladder at that point, and to me, that's like a very niche form of competition. That's just like rewarding to people that have crazy uptime, which is kind of early season D3 also, to be honest. And obviously racing and PoE is the same way. Like, just don't sleep and you can win maybe if you're good.
yeah.
So yeah, I definitely like to see the future.
What
of
else would you want to
that.
see in the ladder reset though? Would you want to see
changes, right?
Like rune words and balances and things like that? Yeah.
I think it's a really safe, and that's what kind of confuses me. Like, at the end of the day, I think the absolute most safe thing you can do, as we've touched on week after week, is you could have your pure Diablo 2 vanilla game mode, and then you could have like the seasonal Diablo game mode where you're not even adding content, you're not adding anything, you're not doing anything, you're just balancing. You're literally just balancing. And so like the first season of Diablo 2 Resurrected is the game exactly as it was. Season 2 is like, oh, hey, we know Poison Dagger Necro, it fucking sucks. And so here's some balance according to that fact. So like I can't see anyone really minding that. And like the games that are out there, like the Diablo 2 project that just launched this last weekend is based on that philosophy. Is like, well, this was a great game, fantastic, but they could have gone a little bit further, right? They could have like had more balance and like things could have been cooler. And that's what those whole games and communities are based around, is like,
people are loving the Project Diablo 2 or whatever the name of. Like, people have been blowing me up about it and saying how it's going to be in Resurrected and stuff. And I'm like trying to argue with people. I'm like, I don't think that they're not gonna let you have that stuff in Battle.net, man. We'll have to see what the official take is later on. But from what I remember, I don't think that's going to be a thing. I think they said that's like the offline mode only. But people want changes to the game. There's definitely a large base that does, and I think that downside to adding the change is splitting the player base up. If they added a vanilla mode and then they added a resurrected mode where they make changes, like, it's fine, do it. Like, Blizzard obviously has World of Warcraft Classic and people love it. People play it. And there's still retail for people who want changes and want new content. And they finally got the time capsule 15 years later with WoW, and people love it, and those guys can play it. That's fine. You're just segregating, you're splitting your community a little bit. But the people that want it, I think you're going to please both parties more. I think in the longevity of the game, people will stick around and play the game more if they did a vanilla mode and they did a patch season mode where they update stuff.
Yeah. But the reason I mean, obviously that's a really interesting question in and of itself, but it kind of correlates into this next topic. So this guy gets on, like, I hate this post, but he said, I expect a great deal of D3 players coming into D2R aren't ready for how rare the top end gear really is. And so he goes on to talk about how like it takes so long to get like the gear that you would really want to like min-max your character. And he's not wrong per se. I think this is a bit of an elitist perspective, and he's like kind of jabbing at D3. But I also think like he's forgetting like how Diablo 2 really worked, right? So Diablo 2 is open trade.
Yeah.
And it's like saying in Path of Exile, yeah, if you were going to try to farm everything for like a perfect COC Cyclone cold build, it would take you probably all League to farm that out. But it's open trade, so you can just like buy the things you want.
Yeah, you'll have everything you need in a week.
Yeah, and D2 is no fucking different. Like, stuff is a bit more rare, but like you just trade for what you
trade
need.
it, and they'll just have real money shops popping up left and right, like they did back.
Exactly, and that's what I was going to go into.
Yeah. Okay. My bad. That's still.
But I'm glad you hit that, because that's exactly right. How long after D2 Resurrected comes out do these RMT sites pop up all over the place?
The day it launches, day it launches, you're gonna see the pay sites. And if you guys don't remember this was 100% a thing in D2. I didn't play D2 that much back in the day, but I definitely remember friends talking about, yo, you can sell that. Like, you can sell this item, you can sell that item, and it's just like, it's crazy, man. So it's going to be a thing again. That was Blizzard's justification for creating the auction house in Diablo 3, is they wanted a safe transaction place where they could take a cut of the money, basically. But yeah, it'll be a thing. People will definitely sell, and we'll have to see how this ends up working in the leagues. You know, if they're going to have a league or a season. Are they going to call them officially leagues or seasons? What do they call them?
Probably seasons.
I don't know.
I think that's
so we'll call it season. So when the seasons start hitting in Diablo 2, then, you know, are people going to spend money? Like, that's another thing, man. If it's open trade and they have leaderboards, what's going to stop somebody from dropping $1,000 and buying perfect gear?
Yeah, what's going to stop someone from spending $1,500 on a Shaco for day one? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, so this is like, just pump the brakes, dude. Just calm down. Like, all the purists are like, upvote.
That's the thing that I'm like, everybody is so excited about Diablo 2 Resurrected, and they're like, I don't want to be negative, but my thing is always like, I hope I love it. It is still a 20-year-old game. Like, I haven't seen any crazy fundamental changes, any 2021 updates that would make me be like, oh, this is going to be ridiculous. They just made it look pretty. They put a new paint job on a 20-year-old car, but they didn't replace the interior. They didn't replace the radio. I still can't stream my cell phone to my 8-track player. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it doesn't change things. So yeah, man, I'm gonna play through the campaign. I think it's phenomenal, but we gotta see how it plays out, man. The sell sites, the trade sites, the leagues. Like, what are we gonna do in the leagues? Are they gonna be full of bots? Are they gonna be full of people selling real money items? Are they gonna be competitive? Are drop rates gonna be horrible? Are they gonna tweak them? Probably not, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and it's like, man, like, leveling at a high level, like after 95, and like just spending hours and hours leaving and remaking and doing bell runs, and like, oh my god, there's zero part of me that was looking forward to that whatsoever.
And so, like, my thing is, I'm gonna play the game and I'm gonna have fun with it for sure.
Yeah.
But like, how long is that gonna last? One campaign playthrough? Is it gonna last 100 hours, 200 hours, 400 hours? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna play it until it's not fun. And then when it's not fun, then I'll shelf it, and if they never update the game, then it's probably shelved forever. If they say, hey, we're going to add this big balance patch in the next season, then cool. I bring it off the shelf and we play it some more.
Yeah. And that's why I go back to that reference I made last week, whereas, everyone in here, a lot of people in here, we're still playing D3 because we're crazy. And, 10 years from now, we get patch 3.13, or sorry, that's POE. We get the latest season 23 patch. And, it's rat runs and like it's the same, like nothing's changed. And so like we're going to come back and it's been exciting and nostalgic. And then it's like, oh yeah, I remember why I quit.
Mm-hmm.
So
like a new season in Diablo, regardless, is fun for the first week.
Yeah.
Like if they stopped 100%, said, okay, season 23 is the last patch we're going to make for Diablo 3, I would still come back and play the weekends on season launch.
Totally.
At minimum, because it's fun. But then after that, like, why am I still grinding this?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Diablo 2 will kind of be the same. But I hope I'm wrong, man, because there is so much, like, the amount of hype that is generated is pretty nutty, at least in my community. Like, I have so many people that are like, oh man, this is gonna be the best thing ever, and I'm gonna play this, every second of my life until I die. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've gotten like the total opposite. People are like hogging out that it's gonna release. But like as the time keeps progressing, they're like, I don't know. Like I'm kind of reconsidering now.
Yeah,
like, I literally think it through.
Yeah, I've had people like just this week freaking out. Like, just I can't wait. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be like to the point where it was almost
ad?
Like it was almost like these are people, the community members that I've known for a long time. So. And I'm just like, man, this is like, calm down, dude. It's the same 20-year-old game. You could fire it up right now and still play it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's kind of the weird thing to me. It's like, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. And then in complete kind of not Diablo related news, but still obviously topical for us, it's Blizzard, Flashbang, has done some job postings towards developing a AAA multiplayer game in a quote epic memorable world. And some of these postings say stuff like, we're looking for people with like first person shooter experience, a broad extensive player experience with FPS and action games, both single player and online.
There we go, Fluff. That's it. We're the new guys, man. We're going to be game design leads for this undisclosed project. We're both FPS players.
Yeah.
You're the former Halo pro.
Yeah.
I'm the looter shooter grinder.
I can't believe you just leaked that, by the way.
Oh, nobody knew you were a Halo pro?
Nobody knew that.
I'm sorry, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Hey, sorry. Yeah, that's our new thing. Well, now they know, so they're definitely going to hire us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense with them.
I've always thought, yeah, exactly. I've always thought since day one, after they booted Destiny and Bungie from like Activision, is like, well, I feel like they stepped on their toes because someone was like, we're gonna make a looter shooter, and then Destiny's all like, bro, that's our thing. So, and it did seem like that's a big hole for Blizzard is they don't have that, and that's like kind of one of the big genres that are. People are thirsty for that's just not covered by Blizzard games. So I always thought that was a hole.
It's not covered by really any game that well anymore. Like Destiny's been kind of the leader for a long time, but everybody wants somebody to take the crown. I feel like so bad from Destiny, but nobody can step up. Anthem, so hyped, and it just dead on arrival. Division had so many good things, but just they never ironed it out. And it's like now Outriders is going to come out, but they're not marketing it as a live service game. So we'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to take the crown from Destiny either. So I feel like
does Destiny even have the crown? Because I hear just as much about Division.
It's got the crown, but it's not like, it's kind of by default. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they earned the crown. Like originally they did, but they haven't innovated in the genre. And
all I hear from Destiny is like people bitching about how bad the game is.
Yeah, I hear that a lot too. But I think it's squeaky wheel. Like there's still people that play the game and have fun with it. I have community guys that play it and they're like, no, the game's good right now. So I think it just depends on who you talk to. There's just complainers everywhere, but
sure.
But yeah, but there's no competition for real. Like Division just announced they're gonna make more content, but it's months and months away, and their content's been Division 2 didn't live up to the hype, in my opinion. And there's nothing really else out there. Outriders has maybe some makings of a good looter shooter, but I don't think it's gonna have any kind of live service. That's more of just gonna be like a grind out some campaign. We'll have to see how that. I don't even know how that's gonna play out. So.
Yeah, I'm curious because I did a good amount of research on Outriders because I did enjoy the demo for what it's worth. And I do like. If I look at the end game of what they're planning so far with the expeditions and the crafting on the surface, that's like, oh, that's way better than anything we've seen from Division and Destiny. Because like they didn't even really have crafting like that much, like socketing or whatever, and increase your light level. It's like snooze. But I thought it was a better formula, but the whole like, we're not going to be a game as a service and
not a big game as a service. And what do you do when you're repeating missions to farm bosses?
Right. Exactly.
Like that's not like, and we don't know. Maybe they got better end game planned, right?
Yeah.
I hope.
And that's the thing on the demo right now is you literally just go up to a boss and then like you let him kill you and then you reload at the checkpoint and you like go back and fight him again. You loot the stuff. You let him kill you. And it's just that.
So, and like that's shit. Like
that's
if we're being honest, like that's garbage. Like if that's the game, then you guys have failed. Like the game's already dead.
Mm-hmm.
So. Like I said, I'll play through the campaign on it, and then hopefully it's good. But if it's a leave game, make game, then we're talking about Diablo 2, and we're talking about Borderlands, like make new game. Like Borderlands and Diablo are very, very similar, just shooter versus ARPG, and in that aspect. And this is going to follow that, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like so, Asmon like came back to streaming today, right? And one of the immediate topics he discussed was like the Diablo, and his argument was, regardless of the design decisions they make from Diablo, is like Diablo 4 is gonna be incredibly fun for like 2 weeks, Period. He said there's no scenario where Diablo 4 isn't really, really fucking fun for like 2 weeks. It's just a matter of like what happens after that, and like is there really any depth to the game, and like did they do enough in that department of the end game, and like all that stuff, right? And he's totally right, and I think that this is exactly like that, like with the
Outriders,
yeah.
I think it'll be fun. I think the multiplayer jump in, jump out aspect is going to be really cool too. So we'll have to see how scaling and stuff works. And those are the big things. It's like if they want this game to be multiplayer, like they keep talking about. This is a jump in, jump out co-op. But it's like if Fluff with no kids and his girlfriend doesn't care if he plays 100 hours a week of games, and then there's me with kids and wife who does care if I play 100 hours a week. So like if we have different play levels, right? And you get in and you have best of the best loot and I don't, and I jump in your game, are you carrying at that point, or can I contribute? Can I not contribute? Those are all kind of questions. Sure. I would hope that I don't contribute that much, because if I do, then what's the point of getting power level, right? Getting this gear. At the same time,
you're right. But D3 has that in a sense, right? Like I could group with you at 2,000 Paragon, and you have 800, but like you're a Z-Necker, so I don't really care at the end of the day. Just do your job. So,
as long as I'm a heal bot, right?
Yeah. So
as long as I can heal bot you, I guess we're good. So we'll see how this game. I'm excited for it. Chances are we're not going to get to play it regardless, though. So unless we just do 48-hour stream, like Outriders does launch the day before Diablo 3 season if it hits on the 2nd.
Sad.
So we get Outriders all night and then not sleep and then just go straight into the season launch.
I guess.
Oh man, I don't know. So I hope that we get some feedback with the patch notes at least by next week, by next podcast, so we can at least figure out what we want to run. For the season launch.
Well, not just that, but it's interesting because I think that Blizzard historically with D3 doesn't really care when they launch, but I think they should take a look at Chris Wilson's like, we're fucked if we share a launch date with blank, right?
Yeah.
I think Outriders is a big enough launch to consider like maybe you shouldn't do the league start that weekend. But
I agree with that. To me, it always seems like it makes sense to plan those releases. And it kind of seems like Blizzard has an attitude of we don't care about what other people are doing. We're just going to do us. I don't think that's the right attitude, though. And like I said, maybe I'm selfish. Like I think dropping the last one during Thanksgiving weekend, I felt was a pretty shitty choice. Like I didn't play. Was it last one or the one before that? I don't know. They dropped one of them during Thanksgiving weekend, and I'm like, well, I'm out Saturday. You know what I mean? Like I'll play Friday night, but Saturday I'm out because I got stuff I have to do.
I think it was this one. It's so long ago, but I'm pretty sure it was still this one.
Was it this one?
Yeah.
God damn, dude. It seems like that was like 5 months ago. So,
because it kind of was. This is the longest season like ever. So long.
And when is Easter weekend, man? Is that
a few weeks?
Is that? Hold on. I don't know my holidays. Let's take a look.
Like the first Sunday of April or something, right?
Yeah, so that's this weekend, right?
Yeah, the weekend of this potential.
So it would be the 4th.
Start,
so like listen, I'm not like super crazy Easter celebrator guy, but like that probably affects a lot of people, some people.
Sure.
So only, I don't know. We'll see, man. I hope that they think about it. And then you also got POE coming up soon. Right, like they're gonna
mid-April, mid-April. We should have a trailer and the launch. And I gotta tell you, man, like I don't know that there's anything in gaming for me right now. Like I love the D4 updates, like I look forward to those, but nothing gets my mouth watering like the PoE like trailer and the launch day and all that hype. So yeah, I'm super looking forward to that.
Super ready.
Yeah. Mid-April. We should know. And so I would expect if it's mid-April, then we get, the new league late April. Right? Yep. So it's good that they're not lining up, at least.
Yeah. I think something's happening in May. I can't remember what it was, though, now.
No idea.
Maybe a WoW patch. I don't know. Something gaming related is happening in May, but I can't remember.
Diablo Immortal?
Is that May?
We have no idea on a date.
Did they say 21 for that? Did they announce anything?
Mm-hmm.
Did they say coming
Immortal
21?
and D2 Resurrected this year?
Well, Resurrected is definitely 21 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so was Immortal.
Yeah.
Interesting. But okay. This is woo. So POE did a thing.
Okay.
They basically released a manifesto that touched on Harvest, and that a lot of players are really liking the Harvest. And I'm generally curious because I would categorize you as a casual POE player, and
100%.
so I'm very curious of your opinion on a lot of these things. But just to set this up, so Harvest Crafting's in the game right now. It was brought back after taking a hiatus for one league, and players are making some crazy stuff with it, and farming it, and like there's some issues with it in Trade League because like you have to go through Discord and blah blah blah. But I think that a lot of people have really, really enjoyed it. Me personally, for me, this league was like the best league ever. Harvest obviously had a little bit to do with that. But yeah, so they came out with this patch that basically touched on their manifesto of PoE going forward. And there's some really interesting sentences in this. It's really, really, I can't think of a time in PoE history that the community's been like this triggered.
Yeah. I've seen some of this. Like I'm not huge in the PoE scene. Like I don't follow the big creators and stuff. I mean, I follow the biggest ones, but like I'm not in the scene. Man, I've seen posts and tweets where people were like, this is ludicrous. Like streamers not going to stream because of communities being so split and toxic, and it's been nutty, man.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can remember times in the past year there's like when they said they weren't going to nerf the heralds, and then they did, and people were like, what the hell? I invested in like more currency after you said you weren't going to nerf it, and then you nerfed it anyways, and like people freaked out about that. But this is like by far and away the most freaked out I've seen in the PoE community. And you've got your polarizing camps, and so we'll get into that too. But yeah, so they say some really interesting sentences here, and I probably should have highlighted the ones beforehand, but the ones in particular that really stand out to me is like it says in in-game Harvest Crafting allowed the creation of some ridiculous items, mostly via a set of deterministic crafts that interacted with specific types of mods. This had to be toned down, and we had to choose between two ways to do it, either by removing the dangerous crafts or by keeping them in a rare impossibility. So that's what they did going forward with they just kind of kept everything, I guess, ultimately just to test it. I think that Harvest was still like very much a testing thing, and they didn't really make that like evident to the community. So I think maybe there was some miscommunication there, but so even with the crafts we made, it felt pretty common when the entire community was pulling together and using them on the right crafts, right? And so their design philosophy is this: when we were designing Path of Exile, a critical aspect of item acquisition is that growth is through random rather than deterministic means. When you defeat bosses and monsters, you receive random items. When you approach cardio for the first time, you get a value item. You are offered a random one. When you craft an item, you receive a random modifier. In limited cases where you can choose a specific modifier, it's usually worse than could have been acquired randomly. Even game systems specifically intended to involve deterministic, such as the div cards and incubators, still have amounts of luck involved. It's also important that items are hard to perfect. Ideally, there's significant diminishing returns in currency item crafting process, which lets most players get something good enough relatively easily, and the expert players can really show off good items that took a lot of effort to make. Obtaining a perfect item is ideally close to impossible, with very few players able to claim that they have such valuable treasures. We feel that the current state of Harvest Crafting runs against both of these important philosophies. We know that many players would love us to keep deterministic crafting in the game because it enables them to complete their items far more quickly than they otherwise would. But then there would quickly be nothing left to achieve. It was an interesting experiment, and we understand some players are very attached to this. Incredibly easy crafting, but it's just not the Path of Exile we set out to make. This sentence is the craziest sentence. This sentiment was summed up by a member of our design team who said recently, quote, we don't want to take away the feeling of closing your eyes and exalting an item, scared to see whether or not you ruined it. So yeah, I think the big topics here is they're like, we know the players really like to get their items fast.
Yeah.
Which I don't know that I agree with at all. And then they want very few players to have like, really well-rolled gear, basically. And then the fact that they said like it was incredibly easy. It's just kind of a weird. So to me,
yeah,
let's just get your opinion first before I kind of dive into what I think. But
so for a casual player, incredibly easy it's incredibly easy if you have a POE PhD, right? Like, sure, if you understand what you're doing, then I'm sure it's incredibly easy. For someone like me with minimal POE time, it makes no sense, right? So I think there's probably a larger base of players on my side of the spectrum than on your side of the spectrum that understand it. If I'm just looking at raw numbers, right? Sure. But I do think that players like easy means to get stuff. I think that breaks the game. I think that if you give things out too easily, the desire to play the game goes away and they move on to other games. But I do think that historically players will have the more vocal players will have positive feedback to easier methods to acquire items. Like any game, Diablo 3 example, they doubled the legendary drop rate way back, like, Reaper of Souls launch-ish time. And people, they added a weekend buff and people were like, oh, this is so amazing. And then they just left it. And then it seems like ever since then, as they added more tiers and added more things, drop rate goes up and up and up. Does that make us play the game longer? Absolutely not, in my opinion. It's just like we get the stuff in the week and now we're done, So I agree with their philosophies on all of that. And then the last sentence, he says, we don't want to take away the feeling of closing your eyes, exalting an item, and scared to see whether you ruined it or not. That's not something that I really do in the game. I think having a fear of destroying an item can make some really awesome content. But for your casual player who's not trying to make really awesome content, they just want the item.
Yeah.
Probably feels pretty bad. You know what I mean?
Totally. So you're just going to save those exalts and get something that's already crafted.
Yeah, you're just going to sell them.
Yeah.
You're going to sell your exalts, right? Or trade them, right? So I think that philosophy is completely against your community. To say that we want you to be scared to exalt an item, in my opinion, is like, okay, well, good luck, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack from this. Obviously, upon initially reading this, I was like, well, it kind of feels like, they want the high-end players to have the best gear. Well, that's always been the case anyways. Regardless of Harvest made zero impact on that whatsoever. The best guys are still getting the best stuff. Doesn't matter. Like, literally does not matter. To me, what this really hits is that mid-tier player, right? So the guy that really knows Path of Exile, but maybe doesn't have as much time to play it as like a full-time gamer or full-time streamer. Like the guy that can still play like 3 to 5 hours a night or even less. But like he can get in and get some like augment lives and stuff like that and craft some pretty good gear. I think it really hits the player that is in that mid-range. So I get it. I get what their philosophy here is. I just don't know that I agree with it because I think some of the best crafting in PoE is deterministic. And I think that their use of deterministic is kind of weird because like technically fossil crafting is deterministic crafting. It's like you can put mods in a fossil and then you have a better chance of when you roll that item that it's going to roll the mods that you want. But it's still kind of like luck at the end of the day. And that's technically deterministic. So I think that there's some confusion here as well.
The game seems to be able to like I said, as a casual player, it seems like there's 100% ways to influence the gear that you get and the drops that you get all the time. So like if you're targeting items, there are ways to influence to get those drops that you want. It seems like the whole system is set up that way, you know, like deterministic. But I feel like they're just specifically targeting Harvest really heavily and saying like, this is too easy for people who know.
Yeah, and I think that's a weird sentence, right? That's incredible. They said you can get stuff really fast, which I don't know who they're talking to. I mean, obviously, Trade League is probably like you just get on and maybe you have a ton of currency and you just buy the harvest crest that
you got to get the ton of currency in the first place. It's not like currency just gets given to me. You know
agree.
What I mean?
And then the fact that they say, it's incredibly easy, and I would again argue that like that's kind of a weird statement, because I don't think it's incredibly easy to really min max harvest. Like, you have to have some idea of what's going on, and like ways to block things, or like when to hit that augment fizz, or like exactly what to look for. And I wouldn't sum all of that up as incredibly easy, like quote unquote. So I think that's just a really weird statement.
They're out of touch with the game because they work on it all day, every day. Because their game is not easy by any means. As a relatively new player, there's so much stuff that just goes over your head.
Yeah, and so like that's leads me to like where does the feedback come from? Like, is it your guys like Empyrean and Cute Dog that like just crap all over the game and like end the league with 10,000 exalted orbs? And they're like, well, it's just too easy because like now the mid-tier players are able to make currency too, and I don't like that. Or like, is it like where does this feedback come from? I guess at the end of the day, that it's like too easy. I don't know. And again, I don't think that there's been a lot of posts. If you get on Reddit, the POE Reddit, it's like there's millions of memes about this whole last statement of, we want you to feel like you're basically blindly spamming any item, and that's how we want you to play the game. And people are like, but that sucks. Like, vanilla POE crafting is like, it's cool, but it's completely and totally random. And most people are like, when fossil crafting became a thing, when bestiary became a thing, you could like somewhat deterministically make stuff. The game improved like 1,000%. And that's really when I started playing, is when like you could start making stuff that was somewhat good, like multi-modding and, some of the crafting bench stuff. And yeah, like to me, it's 1,000 times better than like if you were to make an item how POE originally intended to, like you're transmuting, then you're augmenting. So like you get one mod that you want, and then you aug completely RNG for the second mod. Like, okay, crap, I didn't get what I wanted. Start again. Orb of alteration. Okay, I hit one mod that I want. Aug. Dang it. Okay, orb of alteration. Okay, I actually hit two mods that I really like. And then boom, you regal. Crap. Let's restart. Go back to this finish. I didn't get the third thing that I want. And then the weird chance that you get three things that you want. Like, then vanilla crafting, like you're going to use 3 exalted orbs to completely randomize what you're going to get. And you're like, yeah, you could lock those in like suffixes on certain items, and like you have a better chance of getting things that you want, but still like you're going to hit like your mana rolls. You're going to hit like life on kill and stuff that you have zero use for. And I don't know, is that super duper fun? I don't think so. So yeah, to me, it's a bit weird. The thing that I think maybe is not evident to a lot of players is like the big thing here is that they're removing the ability to like augment on influence items, which is like a pretty big nerf. So now I can't, like, for example, get exploding mod so easily, which is like pretty, game defining. Which I get. I don't think that it'll be the end of the world, but there's actually some really big ways to like big brain these crafts. It's just like way more expensive. So now you'd like lock in prefixes with like the crafting bench for 2 exalted orbs, and then you'd use like a reroll from harvest, and so it just becomes more complicated and more expensive to do the really deterministic crafts, but it's still a way to do it. So,
ultimately, people are still going to buy it eventually anyways. It's just going to slow down the process though. Like, so now what you're doing is you're letting the people who really understand the mechanics behind crafting control the crafting. Like they're like, oh, there's new ways you can do it, but I know how. I'm not going to tell, or
right.
Other guys aren't going to learn. And then so they're going to put it up, and so now they're going to just make more currency. They're still going to do the same thing. They're still going to produce the same amount of items. People aren't going to have their builds work the way they want. I don't know, man. I as a new player looking in, it feels like a bad change to me, because if they're going to make crafting harder than it already is, because I don't really understand it a lot now as it goes. But if they're just going to make it more difficult, it's going to discourage people who are maybe that mid tier from going further, or from newer players like me from being able to farm the currency to buy the trade league items that we want to finish the builds. And some of those things are build defining things that if you can't afford it, it's just like, okay, well, my build plays like crap, so this game's not fun. I'm out.
Yeah, you know, and I think that point right there was the big thing that was the red flag for me is like, yeah, you know, being able to craft some of this really insane, like mirror tier gear, which I still haven't done. So when they say incredibly easy, I'm like, who the hell are you talking to? Because like I have like insane uptime this league, like actually insane uptime. And I still don't have like, I think a trade league person would look at my character and laugh. Like, but my character is like the best character I've ever made. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I don't know who the hell they're talking to when they say easy, but yeah, I think that point in particular, what you just said, is what really like scared me about this whole design philosophy. Is like, well, obviously in PoE, there's skills that just perform better, and those skills become the meta. Like you got your Earthquake, your Earth Shatter right now. Those things are just insane. They hit like trucks. Everyone's running them. They're so good, and you don't have to have any gear to really make them like insanely good. And same with like minions and stuff like that, right? And so if gear is now harder again to craft, yes, maybe it was too easy to craft the really good stuff, but it was also like build enabling. Like me, I've killed the Feared with Venom Gyre. Would I have been able to do that without the aid of Harvest? I don't know. I don't think so. So like to me, that's kind of sad. It's like, well, like we're wanting.
You're forcing the avenue of metas.
We're forcing everyone kind of back into metas. Like if you want to kill the Feared, congratulations, but like you're gonna have to do it on like an Earthquake build. You can't do it on your fun build that you're having a good time with, because like you're just not gonna get the gear that you need to do it. Like with that, I could take the gear that I have for Venom Gyre and I could put that on something that's meta, and I would do like 200% better. And I think that sucks. So I think that if this is their message, then they just like need to probably do more balance. At the end of the day, you know, I think it doesn't change the game for the high-end players. That I think that this is really kind of catered to. I think it hurts the medium tier player, and I think that that's probably the majority of your audience. So that this post just kind of feels weird, but I still think there's going to be ways to get the good stuff. You know, I think that there's some big brain plays that people aren't seeing here. It's just going to be more expensive to do it. And at the end of the day, I gotta hope, right? I have to have some faith in GGG because, you know, they've gone in the right
direction for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the only red flag here for me was like, okay, well, Heist was like awful. And so I was like, ugh.
Yeah, but again though, so like in my experiences in playing PoE, I had a lot of people tell me that they liked Heist. You know what I mean?
I had some people tell me anything. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm not saying you're wrong, that your opinion is wrong. I'm just saying that there are people out there who did like it a little. I didn't play it, so I don't have an opinion. You said it was awful, so I never avoided it.
It was like, so Heist was really bad. I was like, ugh, I don't know about the direction of this game. And then, you know, Ritual came out and the Atlas skill trees and all that stuff and the Harvest coming back. And like everything about this league, like hit for me. Like I just loved it. I was addicted. I'm still playing it, which I don't know that I've ever played a PoE like 2+ months into the league still. But you know, I was really excited about the future and the direction of this game. And then, you know, I see this and it's like, oh, okay, well, you know, Heist sucked. And that was like their mind child. And now it's like, well, we're going to nerf Harvest. And so like, this is kind of their mind child. So it's like, I don't know. But I hope to have that the next league will like, oh, maybe the next league introduce some new form of crafting or deterministically way of getting stuff.
How is the iteration of Heist in this new, like they carried it over. And you don't like the new iteration of it either, right?
Yeah, it's awful.
So would you want them to spend dev time on fixing that, or just get rid of it at this point?
It's tough, because there's assets there that like that's be such a waste to just lose, right? Like going into the vaults and like the things that happen there and disabling the traps and like the chests and like that upgrading your progress bars. So you have to like choose what you can loot and what you can't loot and all that stuff is. There's some things you could scrap probably to make some good content, but yeah, it would need a pretty significant rework to me to be any kind of fun.
And is that worth it?
I mean, that's the only way to get replicas, and replicas are like game breaking, like game defining, build defining, and the alternate skill gems. Like you have to do some Heist to get those things, And that's the only reason people are running heists is because like there's certain content that's locked behind them, but like no one's having fun doing it. So yeah, I mean, I've always been an advocate for like, well, PoE should like maybe pump the brakes for just like one league and focus on improving all of the leagues that are currently in the game. But at the same time, I know that majority of people probably wouldn't want that. Like they just like the new stuff. League after league after league. So yeah. It's been crazy though. Like I honestly, like to even stream the game, you know, during this time, especially when it was brand new posts, like people coming in just like wanting to fight, you know, like wanting to argue and like, you know, your opinion sucks.
I'm with you. Like I was watching some of the Twitter battles that people were having, and I was like, damn, like people are heated. Like I've never seen people go at it on Twitter over PoE. And I saw it. And I'm like, that's really interesting, you know, to see people doing this. So
yeah, I mean, I've seen some, you know, some super cringe takes. I've seen some like, yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it's been really interesting. That's like to see which camp. It's pretty evident usually, like which camp people are in, and
I think it falls. Yeah, man. I think it goes that way with a lot of stuff. I think a lot of the big influencers for games can really dictate content in a game that doesn't necessarily represent the majority of your player base, you know. So, but then we get down to like who are we building games for? You know, like if PoE catered to the mid-tier and casual tier audience, it wouldn't be the game it is right now. You know, that's kind of what makes it the game it is that it is so big brain that, you know, I think the low tier players are like, oh man, I just want to be a mid tier player. And the mid tier players are like, oh man, I just want to be a high tier player.
Yeah.
And the high tier guys are like, I want to be elite. I want to be the best of the best. So I think it gives them that carrot to chase, you know?
Yeah. And that's interesting. So there's two things that you said that have immediate guttural reactions for me. Like one is like the carrot to chase. And people like, so in this article, it's like, well, you know, what's the point of even playing after you get the stuff? Like for me, I was continuing to playing because I'm trying to hit those harvest crafts. Like harvest crafts are still like you have to acquire them.
Yeah.
And so I'm like playing to get a second augment crit. And I still haven't seen a second
sell
one.
them, right?
Yeah, people sell them in Trade League. Right.
That's the thing, right? I think and I think a lot of this feels directed at Trade League too.
Totally.
Right?
Everything's directed at Trade League. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like because people sell crafts and people in my streams are like, oh, you should sell that craft. Because I guess I got one that was good, which I don't know, right? Like you could sell those crafts or whatever. And I'm like, oh, but how do you do it? Well, you got to go on this Discord and then the guy gives you the thing and you trade the thing. And that seems like way too much work, man. I don't care.
Totally.
You know, like I totally don't care. So until they add some kind of interface in game, like they need to work on their, like they support Trade League in the game, but then they don't support Trade League in the game. They're like, oh, we're going to let you trade. And if you spend money to buy special stash tabs, you can kind of do it better. But an auction house would make all sense. Why don't they just do that? I don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, it's super interesting because like, you know, I'm 2 weeks into the league and I'm having the time of my life. And I'm like, man, I love the harvest changes. And there's people that come in the chat and they're like, oh, but harvest sucks. I'm like, how could you possibly think that? And then I go and I see the experience that players are having trading harvest crafts with each other. I'm like, oh God, like I get it. That fucking sucks. And that immediately fills me with dread because I'm like, oh crap, I'm an SSF player and I'm loving harvest. But I know it's going to get changed because trade people are not liking it. So like that's kind of an immediate feeling of dread because it's like this hits for me, but I see why it doesn't hit for you guys.
Yeah, totally. And I think in PoE 2.0, I think if they're going to do trading like to the extent that they do, then they need to build some auction house style UIs for it. Like the system that they have now is garbage. Like
but then they want to sell a hideout
website. Like I don't know. Find other ways to do it. You know what I mean? Like find another reason to force players to go to see hideouts. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's a good compelling reason, right? Because I've been to a lot of hideouts when I was doing my trade stuff. None of them made me want to spend a single penny except for one dude. One dude had a dope ass hideout. He had the one dude, but like to me, I'm still not going to do it. I'm going to spend that money on stash space because I'm a hoarder, right? I'm always just going to buy stash space. So, but it was. There's got to be ways like when you purchase an item, then off the auction house, then let's say you have to go collect it from the guy's hideout.
Right.
At any time. Like, you can just boom, it just takes you to his hideout. He's got like a delivery box. You go, I don't know, man. There's ways that they could still do that.
Yeah, but like, say that was the way, right? And so someone puts something, you put something up on the auction, and it's like, oh, it's a headhunter for 130 exalts or something.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, that's a good deal. So everyone rushes to your hideout. And the first person to get there gets the headhunter.
No, you buy it on the auction house. And then the person that wins the bid, they have to go to your hideout to collect it.
That's better.
That's my thought. Okay. My thought would be like, all right, Fluff put the headhunter up. I bought it. I won. Yes. It's like, a message thing pops up. You won. Click here to go to Fluff's hideout. I click the thing and boom, I'm in your hideout. I'm in there. And like, it doesn't matter. You'd have to have like
a fixed location though, because people would probably like hide their like little vendor under a bunch of shit, and like
they build a bunch of walls around it so you can't get it. Listen, I saw somebody do that in a trade once. I did that, and the guy had his teleport pad thing was like buried underneath like a tree and some shrubs, and like I couldn't find it at first. Like I was, and as a new player, I'm like, shit, how do I get out of here? I guess I can open my map up and leave, right? Can I portal? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, it's like a honey well. Like people set up honey wells in PoE to like to trap a bunch of bots.
Oh, is that what they're doing?
Yeah. So that's like they can't get out.
Is there a way to get out without clicking the waypoint?
They get to log out.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh. But the other thing
that's something fun that I would do. I would totally do that. I would totally make a hideout to trap bots and just sit there and watch. Like, I think it'd be fun. So
the other thing you mentioned there was kind of interesting, and an ongoing contentious subject for PoE is how much do you listen to your community? Because I've heard like some streamers that I completely agree with, like on their harvest take, I'm with you 100%. But then to like hear the counter argument of like, well, if you make any concessions for the community, like for your game's vision, well then you're D3, and as soon as you start doing that, then the game becomes more casual, and eventually you get to the point where like your game's just total garbage, like D3. And so it's like, I don't know. I guess there's this mindset within the PoE community that if they give in at all, then like, oh, they're just go play Greater Rifts. Basically, I hear that a lot, right? Like,
that's a weird take.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I think your players play the game. Like, so I think the disconnect happens in most every game because the developers and the guys are so focused in their game and their work that they don't actually play the game. Like, and so you get this little bit of it. Like, if I work for a Diablo on the Diablo 4 team, and my job is I'm in leveling design, right, or leveling something, and so I'm working on this area to work out the leveling process, and I spend 40 hours a week doing that. I'm biased to it, for one, and two, I'm probably sick of it, and three, I'm not going to go home and play the game and do the end game. I'm going to pay attention to the leveling. So I'm disconnected already. And so like all these devs that have a focus or have their thing, they're not probably going and playing the game like a casual, normal consumer would go and play their game. And I think the feedback from their audience is huge. I think that's like one of the biggest things. Are gamers always right? Nope. Like, we're stupid. We screw up games all the time. But I do think we have good suggestions sometimes too, Right. So I've definitely seen implementations of player feedback break games, and then on the flip side, how many times have you seen devs be stubborn and hard-headed and kill games,
Yeah.
So Bungie did that recently. I think they did something really cool. So Bungie's obviously the maker of Destiny's. I love Destiny as an IP. I talk about it on the pod frequently. I don't play the game anymore, but I love the concept. I love the IP. I want that game to do well. And so I follow it. And so recently they introduced sunsetting in the game, which is a system that they take current gear and they give it an expiration date to force people to use new things. But they said the reasoning for this was that it was going to allow them the headspace to create powerful items that aren't always the meta forever and ever, because otherwise they always have to create crazier and crazier and crazier things.
Sure.
On paper, it makes sense, right? But when you start putting expirations on players' loot rewards and things, it starts to set this mindset of, well, why am I going to go do that? It's just going to expire anyways.
Right.
I don't want to do that. And so the players freaked out when they saw this. Like, this is dumb. This is the worst idea. This is super bad. Don't do this. And they did it anyways, and they put it in the game. And then after it was in the game, they realized, you know what? You guys were right. We screwed up. This is a bad idea. They straight up admitted, like, hey, we screwed this up. This is not a good idea. We thought it would work. It didn't work. We're going to take it out. And this is what we're doing to take it out. Here's the plans. And so that's a situation where I feel like the devs were like in their own disconnect, and they were like, we have an issue. It's a valid issue, but our solution isn't going to fix it. The community's like, that's not going to fix it, dude. And they didn't listen. And then once they put it in, that it was cool of them, I think, to actually say, hey, like, we realized this isn't working. So sorry. We're going to try to fix it. But
yeah,
we don't know.
And it's interesting too, because I get their mindset. Like, to me, on paper, that seems like it should work. Because you got like some of the things that stood the test of time, like Diablo 2. Diablo 2 had ethereal items, and it worked in that game. If you look at like TCGs, like Magic the Gathering, that's been around for like literally ages, and they roll stuff into like a forbidden list and pull stuff out, and like that makes sense.
Hearthstone does it with, they have their system. I forget what it's called.
Wild, like, and standard or whatever. Yeah. So it makes sense on paper why you would do that. It just does it work in a looter shooter? Does it work in an RPG? Who knows? Yeah,
but it does suck though, because like I'll use Hearthstone as an example. I never really played Hearthstone much, right? But when it first came out, I played a lot with the free deck, and I ended up getting enough of whatever currency that they have to let you craft cards, right? And so I got enough together to craft a decent deck that was competitive for a season of Hearthstone. And it was like, oh, that's cool, you know. And I played a little bit as a complete card novice. But then eventually those cards got rolled into the retired or wild set or whatever they call it, right? It's like, so that killed my desire to ever go back, though. I was like, well, I'm not going to go back and play. I don't even have a deck now. The deck that I worked so hard for is obsolete, so I'm not going to use it. Is that a shitty mindset as a player to have? Probably, but I'm a casual player that's not going to play the game. So, like, why should they care about me, though?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they shouldn't, because I'm not a Hearthstone player. I don't know, man.
I think there's definitely like a middle ground here, which is something I think that maybe both parties aren't really considering. I think you could very easily do, and this is something I suggested immediately, where like instead of like, okay, maybe you can't augment physical on a Conqueror-based chest to guarantee like an explodey mod, but like what if you could augment physical with a lucky value so that you could still you could still not hit the augment fizz, but there's just a higher likelihood that you could hit the augment fizz. I think that still stays true to their design philosophy of like things being bricked and random and, you know, doing something blindfolded, but it also satiates, you know, the like, well, I'll never get that unless I have a way to like deterministically craft it. I think that's
I don't think random feels good personally. I'm not a huge like, I'm gonna blindfold and just hope that I get what I want.
I think that's a lot of the community sentiment. Like that's the big polarization.
I think that's silly. I think that PoE's crafting system is super complex. From a novice player looking in, and if you give direction to get to the item you want, even if it's just a compass, right? It's like, okay, to get what you want, you need to go this direction. Okay, cool. Like, at least now I know eventually if I keep doing this, I'm going to get where I want to get. But if you just like drop me in the middle of a map that's fogged up with no compass, you're like, find the thing. You're just like, okay, I guess I'm just going to run. You know, it's bad, man. I don't know. I don't play enough PoE to really have a super valid opinion on this, but it seems to me like it's a bad change, especially for SSF guys. But even, you know, it's going to hurt maybe the super high end players are going to have everything they want. So they're going to have everything they want instantly, right? So like maybe it hurts their carrot chase because they have everything they want really fast. But this is going to give them more currency to brag about or flex on, or I mean, it's like, you know what, Cute Dog has like 10 stash tabs full of headhunters in a season. I don't know.
It just widens that gap between like your elite and your mid tier.
Yeah.
And widens the gap between builds being good, which I just don't like. So
to me, anything that would make it harder for the low mid tier and beginning players to get a functional build, I feel like is a bad thing. I think the complexity that it takes to get something going now isn't that hard in Trade League. You can play the game, you'll get Chaos Orbs, you can buy some things that you need to get your build functional while you're learning mechanics of the game. And I feel like that's really that felt really good this league to me.
Yeah.
Like I was able to look at the skill tree and look at the skills and look at the things that the build I was wanting to used, and kind of like start to wrap my head around how the game's mechanics work. And then like, oh, if I go buy this item, and then you learn the things like, oh, I bought this item, but then now I don't have enough int, so I can't wear this amulet, which then breaks this and then breaks that. And then you just like all these little things that you're going through, but that process is going to be super delayed if you can't even get the currency you need to buy your item, because now it's 50 times more expensive.
Yeah. I think right there you have a solution is like, well, you can keep harvest crafting maybe the same up until a certain eye level. And that way you're still like benefiting the new players trying to get into maps and stuff like that. So yeah, I think there's middle ground here that the community and POE could reach.
We just hope the right voices hit their ears. And GGG's smart though, man. We'll see what they do. I think until they disappoint, I wouldn't be super freaked out, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then in other ARPG news, the game that people are always here for, Wolcen.
Wolcen.
They did like another little manifesto, upcoming improvements.
I like what you wrote in the notes.
No one has to know what I wrote in the notes. Okay, just calm down. But yeah, so another kind of small update from Wolcen. It looks like they're going to make some pet improvements. They're adding more difficulty levels because I guess people were getting to the 187 and it was still too easy for them. I don't like. What do you think about like? What if tomorrow Diablo 3 added, up to GR 160? Would that make the game better at all for you?
0.
Yeah.
0.
And that's kind of what they're doing here. It's like they're just adding more levels to like their version of the GR. So like this is like really mediocre to me. But they're making pet improvements, which is good because the pets kind of were still lackluster summons. I guess they're gonna give crafting system a better UI, which I definitely agree with. I'm not sure that I still, to this day, could like deterministically tell you exactly what you should expect from an abyssal tier craft. So that's good. It definitely needed that. And then they're giving the ability to dodge through mobs by default. That was something you had to spec into.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
but cool.
But yeah, I mean, like really small list. This is something we see again from Wolcen. Yeah. Week after week is like. It's such a small list.
Every 2 months they have like a small week patch, but it's I'm done with Wolcen until there's a reason to play it. Yeah. Like I played it on launch. I went through the campaign and shelved it right after. It didn't do it for me, man. Right. It didn't have the things to make me want to play. And that's my philosophy for like most games, man. It's just like I'm playing a game, and as soon as I'm not having fun with it anymore, like I'm shelving it until there's a reason to come back. I had a lot of fun with POE this league, but I kind of started getting bored with it and I shelved it. When next league hits, I'm sure there'll be reasons for me to come back and I'll play it some more and then hopefully get a little further. But it's like that with everything. Like that's just my mindset. I can't make myself play something that's not fun. So Wolcen hasn't done anything since launch that was like groundbreaking to me.
And maybe I'm a bit more, I wouldn't say fortunate, it's not the right word, but like I'm definitely in the same mindset of like, well, if I'm getting bored, then like I kind of want to jump ship. But I'm also never really tempted externally, right? Like I don't want to go play the new Spider-Man. I don't want to go play God of War. Yeah, exactly. And so like to me, it often comes down to like, well, I'm still like liking the gameplay, and there's nothing better out there. So like, I'm just gonna keep playing, and I don't mind that. Yeah. But I even wish that I could be even more focused, right? Like I wish I could be that Rax or Bloodshed that could just grind D3 24/7 and like be sane.
Yeah, and I can't. I tried. I just can't do it. I can't. Like I literally end up hating myself because I'll wake up and it's like, what are you gonna do tonight? And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go do rats. Like I can't, man. Yeah. I physically, like I would rather just lay in bed and cry than go do rats again, Yeah. So it's crazy to me, man. We talk about this a lot, and it's like, what can is adding the follower system enough to carry the season? Is the new wizard set enough to carry the season? My answer is always no. It's not. Like, is it a phenomenal change? Yes. It's good quality of life, but until Diablo 3 gets new end game, which it's never going to, right?
Probably, yeah.
It's the seasonal loop is what it is, man. The first 2 to 3 weeks of the season are going to be really fun, and then we wait till the next season to see what they've changed, to see what we're going to play. That's just my personal mindset. Like, I don't, unless there's because ultimately we're doing the same thing. We're still grinding greater rifts. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what set they give us or what powers they give us. We're still doing the same activity, and it's greater rifts.
Yeah.
So until they give us a reason to do something else besides greater rifts, we already know what we're getting every season. And that's not talking trash on the game. That's just what the game is. I think people got to accept games for what they are, and that's what Diablo is. Diablo is a super fun game for a couple weeks every quarter. 4 times a year, the game's awesome for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So, and then we'll see.
I would love just the ability to like make a little private Diablo league that lasts like 3 days.
Yeah,
so poggers.
like a weekend.
Yeah. Or even if you could limit it to like hours played, like think if you could do that, right? So you get 40 hours to play, and whoever's got the highest GR at the end of that and you can do it for like it lasts a month, but like you only get 40 hours in there. So like it could be open to so many people. Like that would just be so cool.
I think this follower system that they just added is such a huge thing for SSF. If they would officially support SSF, I don't know how hard that would be to code. To code a character that has a flag where you can never group up with somebody else.
Right.
Like, that's really all you'd have to do.
Yeah.
Is just flag the character can't accept groups.
Yeah, you think, but
I'm not saying I don't know how hard it is, right. But like if they could do that with this follower change, oh my God, people would lose their minds, man. There would be so many SSF players this season.
Yeah.
Yep. So I don't know.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But that's it.
That's it? That's all we got?
That's all we got, 2 hours in.
We got some questions for the podcast, though.
Wait.
If you guys... Oh, okay.
PChild loves Fluff. Why do I have to remind you week after week? Come on. People freak out on YouTube. Maybe it's only embedded in me because people are like, where's Fluff hates PChild loves?
Okay. What do I love this week, man?
What do you love this week?
What do I love? My wife is... usually I just spend whatever free time I have, I try to spend with the wifey. And she's a big TV show watcher, like movie watcher. Like that's kind of like something that we can do together. Because we don't go out much anymore with Ronas. So she made me watch some crazy TV show, but I don't know the name of it. I was into it. What do you hate? You tell me what you hate, and I'm gonna think of some loves.
Sure. Obviously there's a lot of controversy in the POE directory / community right now. And it always brings to light just how bad so many people are at like arguing their point of view, or even like having an adult discussion. Like if your immediate reaction is like, okay, you disagree with me, so like, oh, you're fucking casual, right? Like, it's one thing to say that jokingly, but like, if that's your retort, like, and you don't even have like, well, I think that you're wrong because of this, like, you immediately jump to slandering people. It's just like, so like, how old are we? Like, come on. I also I see a lot of people like, well, you're either like, you think this way and you agree with me, or you're the complete opposite side of the spectrum. And like, Quinn tweeted out, like, he's like, you either think it should be deleted basically, or like you have small PP, or like there's no middle ground. It's just like, I feel like I'm in the middle, but apparently I just have a small PP because I don't agree with you. So yeah, I think that opinions like that are a little weird, but
I think a lot of people have to realize that the content, the hardcore content creator guys sometimes react for memes and say things for the reactions, and they don't represent everybody. And I think GGG's smart enough to realize that. I hope they're smart enough to realize that. Totally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when you have somebody that blasts Diablo 3 150 million hours a season, that player is not representative of your community. Like
Right.
that's the extreme outlier, you know? So, but that's the same for POE. But I'm with you, man. For me, I would say my loves this week, man, we had some decent-ish weather finally.
That's true.
In good old St. Louis. And so I got to go back outside. My wife and I like to go walk around the neighborhood on a daily.
In St. Louis, are you crazy?
I don't live in like the city limits. It's not that bad, Fluff. Kansas City's got a higher murder rate. Just throwing that out there.
No, it definitely does not.
Didn't we look this up before?
Yes.
I think it does.
No, it doesn't. Not even close.
Man, you're pulling statistics from like 1 year. Like 1 year. Listen. But no, it's been nice weather, man. So I've been going outside. I got the vet out. I got to go walking. Like it was nice, man. It was good to get some good weather. And we went out and had some good food. So I've been dieting hard for a long time. So I went out and indulged, had some really crappy, unhealthy food. It was pretty delicious. Not gonna lie. So
emos?
Not emos, but dude, you just thanks. Maybe I'll get some.
Gross.
That's it though. Let's jump into some Twitter questions. If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, you can submit them on our Twitters at ThaPChild, at Lord__Fluffy, or we each have Discords. You can find links all over in the descriptions and all stuff. The first question comes from Isaac Danger. Isaac says, what would have to happen to make you not buy Diablo 4? It'd have to be extreme as hell for me not to buy the game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess pay for power, right? Like straight up. The only way to like get gear would be like you buy it. No, I wouldn't. No way.
Yeah, you would.
If you knew going into Diablo, that was straight up like you don't even earn upgrades.
They sold upgrades.
You just
like
buy
straight
it.
Up.
And you had to pay $60 for the game still?
We'd still buy it. We still buy the game.
No, we wouldn't. We'd probably get for free as streamers. Yeah. We would never fucking buy it.
Yeah.
But that's the question. We would never.
That's a good one. That's a very bad case scenario.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It would be damn near impossible for me not to play it at least for a little bit. I would have, even if it was horrible, I'd either make fun of it for being so bad, or I would just, I don't know how long I could play it, but I would play it. That's got to be the only thing I can even think of is microtransactions somehow, like some kind of price point. If they're, they raise the price to $80 and then it's like cash shop everything. Like you can't get any cosmetics unless you buy it, and you can't get any power unless you buy it. Purchasable characters, they launch with 4 base characters and then you got to buy everything else or something. I don't know, man.
What if they turned into like a original Gauntlet Legends where it's like, well, itemization wasn't really working out, so we've scrapped it, and now you have 4 buttons you can sign to XBAY, and you guys just run around and hit those 4 buttons.
You choose your class. Your class just has skills, predetermined skills.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I have fond memories of Gauntlet Legends. Don't you?
Yeah, for its time, but it would be.
I haven't played it in like 30 years, I guess. But I remember as a kid playing Gauntlet Legends and being like, "This is the shit. I love this game." Yeah.
Red Warrior has gained the level.
Yeah.
I still say that sometimes when I'm hungry. I'm like, Red Warrior needs food badly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I haven't I don't know. Other than microtransact, it's got to be monetary based. This is the only thing that would keep me from buying the game, because I would still play it. But there's a lot that they could do to make me not play the game after 3 or 4 weeks, though. I think after a couple of weeks of gameplay, if they have itemization screwed up or the game's just overly casual, there's so many scary things that enter my mind. So Eddie says, test for next season 24. Fluff books a holiday but doesn't tell anybody but P. Will the start date land on the holiday? If so, we know P is a mole that tells Blizzard to do it.
True. True. Good social
Not much of a
experiment.
question there, but basically Eddie thinks I'm a mole. He
Yeah.
thinks I'm out to get you, I guess.
I think he's right. Honestly, I had a pretty good relationship with Blizzard until you and I started hanging out.
Yeah. I did tell you to ask the question.
You did. You go up there and fuck them up, dude.
Yeah, get him to boo Wyatt. I told Fluff. See, here's the real story.
And he's there. He's filming. He's like, boo.
Did I sent you the video of me recording you, right?
Yeah, you did.
Did I? God, I hope I didn't. So the story is we're in line. I'm like, Fluff, if you can get them to boo Wyatt on stage, then I will. I'll buy you tacos at the taco shop.
True.
So he's like, easy, got this. Big Unit 20 says if the fifth Diablo 4 class is something completely new, never been in a Diablo game before, what would you want it to be?
I think we both agree on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Death Knight.
Yeah. Death Knight. Yeah. Some kind of plate wearing, two-hand wielding,
wielding, just darkness.
Yeah, just badass. I kind of picture like the Lord of the Rings, the Nazgul, the leader. What was his name?
The Witch King of Angmar.
Yeah, the Witch King, man. I kind of picture somebody like that, like just badass looking menacing dude. Yeah, dude. Maester Magus says one of you must give up meat or dairy. One of you must give up meat or dairy, or you both lose. Or you both lose both. Who gives up what? Okay, I see the question.
Shit.
So one of us has to give up meat. One of us has to give up dairy. If neither of us can agree, then we both lose both. I give up dairy. You give up meat.
Fuck you.
I think the question is who can give up meat? Like, dude, meat's in everything, man. You can't. Like, I could live without. So if we lose dairy, we lose milk and cheese. And what else? Is that it? Yeah. What else would have dairy in it? Like eggs are
literally everything.
Eggs are meat.
No.
Like everything's meat. No, I'm just saying. Like I'm saying, like if you gave up meat, you're gonna lose eggs. You're gonna lose bacon.
Dairy's a lot of delicious shit. Literally, milk's in like everything.
Like what?
Like literally everything. Just name something. Shit.
No, it's not in cake. You don't put
milk in cake.
What do you bake a cake with milk in it? You put water and egg, and like
from like a pre-powdered box. Maybe it only requires water and oil, maybe. I don't even know. I haven't baked a cake through a box in like 50 years.
I haven't baked a cake from scratch. I've only baked a cake from a box. So I don't know. Pour milk into it? I don't know. Like
butter.
Bread. Bread doesn't have milk in it.
Bread has milk in it? What are you on about?
Bread has milk inside of it?
Yes.
They pour milk into bread when you make bread.
The best bread has dairy.
I don't know. If I had to give up bread, that'd suck too. I'd still give up dairy over meat though, dude. To not what are you gonna
That's obviously the better choice is to keep meat.
Yeah.
But
like every meal that I have has some sort of meat.
we gotta approach this from like a health perspective. Like you're always dieting. I'm not, I've just got, more muscle in my body I need to sustain. So you gotta take one for the team here and just give up the meat.
You're like 5'3", dude.
That's cute. That's super cute. You're like 7'1", but you still weigh 100 pounds.
Me? Yeah. I mean, now I do. Dude, I didn't used to. Yeah, I don't know though. So we agree? I eat meat and you eat dairy.
No, I eat meat, you eat dairy because you're dieting all the time anyways.
But that's all I eat is meat on the diet.
Well, just switch to dairy.
I don't know. I think we're screwed. We're both just going to lose both because nobody's going to chuck it up and take the L, man. So, Foul Biscuit says, what is the best video game to get a non-gamer into video games?
Ooh.
Somebody that doesn't game and you're like, man, I need one. I got the game. It's going to make you love games. It depends on the person though, right? Because like, okay, let's say that you didn't game, but I kind of know like you hate campaign. I don't think you're a big story-driven fan, right?
Sure.
So if I gave you like, let's see, but you liked Final Fantasy VII, so I don't even know. Let's say if I got you if I got you a Final Fantasy game and like you know the story was like, oh man, this is sick. you might be like, this sucks. Like, when do I get to kill other real players?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it depends on the game, on the person.
Okay, let's change it. Let's change it.
Okay.
If we had to give our significant others one game that we felt that could like really bring them in.
Okay. For my wife, she would be into a murder mystery or survival horror style of game, but you'd have to be simplistic in controls.
Yeah.
Because I think what a lot of us don't realize is we've been gaming for so long that controller or keyboard and mouse is so natural to us that somebody who's never done it, it's impossible. Like, they're running into walls, they can't turn the camera. So it'd have to be a simple based survival horror. I don't know. Any ideas? I don't play survival horror games. I think they suck, personally.
None. Because you want it to have like depth too, because like it's got to keep them engaged and then get them addicted, maybe.
Yeah. So I would say some kind of scary. What about you? What are you gonna get?
Someone said it. It's something I think Lindsay could probably get because there's no threat. Like, you just play, and it seems like it's crazy addicted for a lot of people. But Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I got that for my daughter because she wanted it when it first, when it was hyped when it came out, and she wanted it, and I was like, sure. So I bought it for her, and I was thinking like, I'll get into it too. Maybe I'll play it because everybody loves it, and I watched her play it for like 20 minutes. Like, what is this, man? Like, no, dude, I'm not playing.
It's like watching me watching you play Spider-Man.
I guess Spider-Man was good, dude. You were into it. You couldn't leave. You're like, what happens?
Fuck is this?
Finn, where you go? Finn, come back. So, yeah, it was. She couldn't get. I didn't even play it. I never even booted it up on my account to even see what it was really about. I watched her enough, and I was like, nah, I'm good. So, the next question comes from Cartman Rules. Says, what country is on your bucket list?
What country?
I think it's funny. Yeah, country. Because I'm like, you probably been to all of them.
There's millions I haven't been to. There's a couple that I've really been wanting to go to for a while, but it's just really logistically difficult considering the things I want to do there. So like, I've been wanting to do Bolivia and the Road to Death for a while, but it's been really difficult to track down anyone with a motorcycle.
Is that the place you were trying to get me motorcycle biking with you and they showed me the videos?
No, that was Costa, right?
Oh, there was some place where they were like wrecking trucks and rivers and shit and like cliffs.
Oh yeah, that was Madagascar.
Oh yeah.
No, but yeah, Bolivia is like, I had a whole trip lined up, and then like the guy that was gonna like basically, he's gonna sell me his motorcycle, and I was gonna like he's gonna buy it back when I like left the country, basically.
Yeah, right.
But it wasn't like so expensive that like it would have been that big of a deal, basically. Yeah.
You just leave it at the airport.
But then like he went dark for a while, and I'm like, hey man, are we still on? And he's like, yeah, I had to leave the country, and I was like, oh shit.
You're like, yeah, you get
because it's bad there, I guess. And then the other one that's incredibly bad is Venezuela. Like, Venezuela is just like, it's just so tough.
What do you want to go there for?
So Venezuela's got this really unique landscape. Let me just Google it.
Is happening.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's the Google. There's a tic-tac-toe board.
Yeah. So like the Angel Falls area is like, it's straight out Avatar. Let me switch the scenes so you can see what I'm talking about. Like,
oh yeah, that is.
It's like this plateau that's just like higher than everything, and like.
So okay, so what if they had like a runway on the top, and they did like one of those? You seen those guys that have like the hang gliders, and they run and like jump off a mountain with the hang glider?
Fuck yeah!
Did you do that?
Oh god,
did you do it?
I mean, maybe I wouldn't just be like, here's the hang glider.
No, like with a guy.
Yeah,
like a guy that's experienced to fly.
No question. Okay. No fucking question. Instantly, without hesitation.
What if there's like a 10% more like death rate?
I mean, like, hang gliding isn't 10%. So
let's just say this particular mountain, let's just say like 90% of people are fine. But that 10%, you got a 10% chance to rip. You still gonna do it? What percent's low enough? 5%?
Yeah, I guess 5, 3, 5.
3%. It's like only 3% of people die. There's a sign. 3% of people will die, and you're still like, yeah, fuck it, I'm good. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, because it's like, life changing. Sure.
Okay, I'm with you. For me, it's Japan. Like I don't know why. Like Japan would.
I'm
be
so
super
sad
awesome,
about Japan, man. Because like, I don't feel like going back to Japan in the next 10 years is gonna be like going to Japan before. So I'm kind of sad.
Why? Why do you feel that way?
Because post-pandemic and like,
you think it's changed that much?
Oh my God,
like
yes.
I haven't kept track. Like what's
so much of like the shops and stuff like just completely shut down, and like no one's going out, obviously, and like that's half the fun in Japan is like being in those little, I forget the word is,
the alleyways of
and it's like they only have like room for 5 people, and like
like that's like Japan just has
crazy shit,
this crazy shit and culture and stuff that you'll never see anywhere else.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And it's like and I relate. There's so many things that they're into that I like. Like, I'm not an anime nerd, but I like it. Like I don't hate it, and like it'd be cool to see it. And like just the whole just their culture in general, man. It's just really cool to me. And then some of the places, some of the landscapes you can see are so historic and old and just awesome. So for me, it would be Japan. That's on my bucket list. Unfortunately, like that's like the last place on my wife's bucket list.
Really?
So, yeah, it's crazy because like that's something that I'm like, I would love to go here. And she's like, my youngest daughter is like, I want to go there too. And my wife's like, absolutely not. Like I'd rather go to anywhere else. So that'll be one that I'll probably have to do solo or without her. She's like, I don't care. I don't want to go there.
Where's her top? What's your wife's top?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I think she's been trying to talk me into going into Africa on a safari, which I think would actually be really cool. Yeah. So I think she's been wanting to do that. But the places that she looked up that we looked at, like I Googled them a little bit and they had pretty high crime rates, like pretty bad. I'm like, oh man, I don't know. We might get kidnapped.
You live in St. Louis.
Oh my God.
Literally.
I really
do you even understand?
No, do you?
Yes.
Listen,
you live in one of the most dangerous places in the world.
That's why. That's why I'm so street smart.
St. Louis.
Street smarts are insane levels. But yeah, that's my bucket list. Japan's for me for sure. And then I think it'd be really cool to go to see like some of the like the Colosseum and some other places. So I guess Rome would be on that list eventually.
It's crazy because I have no interest in like Anglo-Saxon Caucasus people's history whatsoever. It's really weird. Yeah. In our own history. I'm more like, if I like to see like, when I went to China and see so much of their history, and like Japan, like, it'd be really cool to see. Like, oh my God, did you watch there's a Netflix like Age of the Samurai special? It's like real life history, but Game of Thrones, like the samurais were fucking crazy. All the warlords and like they're fighting each other for like 100 years. Like, oh my God, this drama, like this dude killed his like mom in front of his other dude, but it's like his general. And he's like, you must be loyal to me, and then like he betrays him later on. It's like, oh my God.
They had the show on the channel that did Mythbusters, I think. Maybe it was Spike back in the day. I don't remember, but they had a show where they took like modern period pieces and see who would win in a fight, and they would take like a samurai versus like a Viking or something, and they would get like samurai swordsmen, and they would like take their weapons and technology they had at the time, and they would like, let's see who can chop through. Like they would simulate like a body with like these flesh, pig or cows or I don't know, and like chop with the samurai sword, but get like trained swordsmen to do these things. It was cool, man. But the one I remember is the samurai one. Is they talked about the origins and how like samurai were kind of like basically badass, crazy. Like everybody thinks they were really honorable, but they were actually kind of scumbag.
Savage, yeah, dude.
Yeah, like they were brutal, man. So, and then the last question we had comes from Fit Coconut. Fit Coconut says, "Is there something that you hate on an irrational level?"
On a rational level.
There are some people that bother me on an irrational level, but I don't necessarily want to say I hate them.
Which streamers are we talking about?
Yeah. Fluff. Wait.
Wow.
So, but hate. Man, I don't hate very many things. I hate seafood. Yeah, seafood. Man, I hate seafood. I can't even stomach the smell. It's disgusting. The nastiest stuff ever in life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I hate SpaghettiOs on an irrational level.
Really? SpaghettiOs are so good with meatballs. Oh man,
that clanky noise. All right, shit. Can you call those meatballs? Are you sure?
Yeah, sure. The clanky noise the can makes when you scoop it out at the end. You're at the bottom. You know.
You're so gross.
No, I'm with you. For me, it's seafood.
Listen, man. For your own safety and health, you have to choose dairy. I mean, because you're gonna eat SpaghettiOs with the meatballs.
No, he couldn't. I wouldn't be able to eat.
Yeah, exactly. So for your own health, you're going dairy, is what I'm saying. I get the meat because you can't make smart decisions.
I could live off hamburger and steak and bacon, and you know.
No, you don't need it. You're on a diet. It's fine. Just go milk.
Yeah, just milk. I'm just gonna live on cake. Apparently cake now. Yep. It's gonna be funny. I'm gonna get the list. People are gonna start DMing me the lists of like all the stuff that has milk in it. You're like, you couldn't eat this or this or this or this. You couldn't have water. Water has milk in it. Like, wait, what? No, it doesn't. That's it, man. All the questions we had this week. If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, you can tweet us at ThaPChild at Lord__Fluffy. And you can find me at all the places. Just search for ThaPChild.
Yeah. And I'm Lord_Fluffy. Double those underscores on the Twitter. We'll see you boys
next week. 140.
140 already. Crazy.